the Rushmore Show, where it's all about your top four and nothing more. Kirk, we are here. We're still talking music. Tonight is a very unique, special episode. I'm very excited about this. Kirk, you were just actually, while that intro was playing, I know other people on the internet can't see this, but you were showing off something that looked very psychedelic. What were you doing? Whoa, look at that. Wow. What is that ancient technology that you have in your hand right here? What is that?
Well, I'm over here eating, and you said, I don't mind stealing bread. And then I saw that on...
It's a good poll. It's a good poll.
I saw that on Pop Culture Pastor, and I wrote him back and said, From the Mouths of Decadence. And that's from this.
Well, that's a good CD right there. It's a good album. It's also a good segue into what we're chatting about tonight. So let's clear the air of what tonight is all about, because the description says soundtracks of your life. What do we mean by that? I'm stalling in this sentence because you're still chewing, and it looks like we're at a good point of whatever the sandwich is or something.
Here's the deal. I've got some CDs. I've even got a tape or two. And even one in the official case. But we're going to go with, well, hey, Robert Springs, we're going to go with what are the best albums out there that identify your life? Now, what I mean by that is maybe you have an album that was your favorite at 12 years old, and it just transports you right back there. And we just by listening to that album, we kind of get a little bit of the angst or love or whatever it may be of who you are at 12 years old. We kind of find out a little bit of what you love, what you like, maybe what type of genre you're in, and see if we can't build 30, 40, 25, 30, 40 years of who we are through music. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah, no, I got that. Jessica just asked, but do you have a 45? Or at the very least, do you have Shinedown's album with the song 45?
45 and 2, never mind.
That's another 45. And you get 45 if you ask for 50 cents Nickelback.
Now I'm going to call him out. So, wait. So, look at what I pulled out this week, Andy.
What is this?
What is this ancient technology?
Wow.
This is a tape case. And Fox, right there. Spin Doctors, pocket full of kryptonite. If I'm digging in this case, that means it's not something I planned on talking about tonight. But if you give me a second,
oh goodness,
I'm pretty sure maybe one of these. I thought
that's an interesting one that you went with, Spin Doctors. Not interesting in the sense of. Yeah.
So what I was going to say is probably the same thing you're going to say, Andy, because I've been saying it for 5 years now on the show.
The two-hit wonders.
If we were ever to do a show that was 2-hit wonders, those guys, my friend, would definitely be on that episode.
Well, look, while you're looking, Bryce is confused. Cassettes? Bryce is a little bit younger.
Cassettes? What is that? So I do want to show this off, and I can't find it. I swear there was a cassette in here. Maybe it was a CD. I thought there was a cassette in here. That was that exact album. That exact tape.
While you're looking for it,
I want to do this since we're talking about cassettes real quick. So I want to show this one off. This has been in this case for no less than. So I'm 46. This was done probably when I was about 8 years old. This is probably 38 years old. My math's correct. And Andy, you remember this? What these little things?
I can't see. It's very.
So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All right.
So up here are two little holes, and you pop those in, And when you pop them in, you can't record on this, Bryce. And I have some old silver duct tape. This is the only tape I could find to tape over this case. Now, this is such a prized possession. I told Brittany today, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this is in my hand. Because I'm almost guaranteeing that this particular cassette is a cassette that me and my 3 or 4 neighborhood friends recorded in our clubhouse of us having a G.I. Joe Transformers war out in the backyard. And we are banging pots and hitting things on the wall, and we're making sounds like doo, 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 doo. And it is just the most unreal World War III.
Hey, well, Kirk, why are you giving your George away already?
It's a full hour's worth. I found it today, and I'm like, I'm almost guaranteeing that this is the tape. And I said, Brittany, I want to order a cassette tape just to see if this is it. That's the only reason, just to see if this is that tape. Because if that is, it'd be a blast of the past. Yeah. But
anyway, speaking of a blast of the past,
sure.
I think that's what we're going to get into tonight. Blast from the past, because we're going to talk about these albums, right? Not just specific songs, not just specific singers, artists, bands, whatever, but albums that transport us back to a time and place, right? I think that's kind of where we're going with this.
Yep.
With that said, we were kind of talking backstage. Be highly surprised if there's any Rushmores tonight, but hey, anything's possible.
Yeah, I'd be super surprised if there's some.
I do want to say hello to everybody who's in the chat already. Before we bring in our guests, we had Fat Boys Gaming was in here, Bryce, Fox.
Hey, shout out
Robert,
to Fat Boys Gaming.
Jessica.
Hey, I do want to shout out Fat Boys Gaming. Fat Boys has been messaging us for the last week or so, just saying, man, I got you running in the background. We are fighting last year because music, we kind of take a dip because a lot of our fans are video game folks and movies and sports. Music isn't our biggest, but we love music, so we're doing it anyways. And our viewership has kind of like dipped a little bit, and Fat Boy has really helped us out with pushing that in the background. So there's 10 of you in here. I hope everybody has hit the like button. 11 now. And I hope that anybody that shows up today will also do the same. But what would really help is if you love what we're doing, go and find another episode or 2 this week. Maybe even more. 1 a day would be awesome to help us get those hours back up. Because we're right at 200. Every week we're kind of fighting, we gain some, we lose some. So thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you for being so amazing.
Very, very.
And we're right at the 200 mark. I will say this, Andy, we are monetized on the Facebook side. So if anybody's over on Facebook and hanging out there, we can get some nickels over there. That's pretty cool. So 13 people in the chat. Let's get this thing going. I do want to, we'll announce the rest when we get to the next part. But I do want to get the show on the road, and we'll start talking about everything else as needed on the way. So this week we are talking about the Rushmore of your life soundtrack, and of course, as always, let's play the video. Andy, we are going to have a great time today, and I'm holding these right now. I was gonna put them down, but I'm gonna need to pick them up again anyway, so I might as well show you right now. This beautiful stack of plastic, right? This beautiful stack, you see right there, it says MP3. Every single one of these are burned CDs of MP3s. From Napster, from whatever. And this is when I stopped buying albums. This is when I stopped actually going to Camelot or FYE.
FYE.
any of the places that were in the mall or Walmart and actually purchasing an album when it started to go all digital. And these things are packed. It would be really easy for me to pick 4 of these albums to explain my life because they're all mixtapes. And yeah, so we're going to do some things today that are just really awesome. So Napster, yeah, the memories. And LimeWire, we moved on to LimeWire because Metallica, just say, Metallica's like, no, sir, not doing that. So then LimeWire showed up. But hey, let's, why don't we welcome in one of our favorite people. What's up, Nick? Circuit City for the albums. Yes, Circuit City, man. I even got him at Best Buy too, but Circuit City was awesome. How about this one? Throwing this out there. How many of you guys have a warrant out for your arrest for getting 10 free CDs and never buying the other 3?
Hey, we all paid our penny. We paid
Columbia House and what was it? BMG?
Something.
BMG?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So we're going to talk about all that this week. But before we do, we have talked about, let me back up, several times about our friends at Culture Box. And we've had a couple of them on for a while. And this week is no less one of those days. We are inviting one of our friends over from Culture Box. Now, we were supposed to have 2 guests. I connected with John over on the internet through watching his channel. He found us through a Facebook, YouTube page. And John's from Denmark. And before we get started, but I do want to get Drew on in here. I just wanted to share with what's going on with John. John can't make it. His mom passed away sometime in the last week or so. He's coming back to the States to be with his family, and they're going to go through the estate. It's just not a great time for him to be on, so he had to back out, but he will be back, he said. But good thing is we already had 2 people on this week, and Drew is jumping on with us. Drew is part of Cellcast, and we should have just tapped in Jacob and seen if he wanted to jump in. But Drew jumped in just to be the extra guy with John, and he's now the guy by himself. Welcome to the show, our friend Drew from the Cellcast. Drew also has some things going on. Drew, you are hanging out in a hotel room because your
apartment's getting fixed.
Your apartment is having a little disaster.
Yeah, I'll survive.
So
thankfully, we were already not having a Cellcast episode this week anyway, so that part worked out. But I'm in a hotel this week.
Yeah, hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. All right, sorry.
So yeah, if you're looking at me and you're wondering why is this dude got his nose up in the air like he's a snob, it's not that. My camera is just down here, and I can't help it.
It works that way. So Drew, most of our people know you. You've been on the show before, but I want to give you another chance right here. Let us know about the Cellcast. Obviously, this week you said you don't have an episode, but what are some things you got going on, and let us know about the Cellcast.
Yeah, the Cellcast is a podcast where we review animated movies and television shows. Currently, we are in the middle of our, I don't even know if we have a term for our regular episodes other than just we pick a movie every week to review, and then we do in the TAS segment, our animated series segment. Right now, we're working our way through Batman the Animated Series, which is a classic and is very fun to watch, and definitely a blast from the past because... spoiler alert, this is apparently my era of DC Comics, is this television universe. So, that's pretty much it. And then on most of the time on Tuesday nights, I'm playing some Kingdom Hearts, and I've got a extra little side project called Untangling Kingdom Hearts that I'm recording on the side. So go check that out as well.
Yeah, we love jumping in on the chat, checking out, watching you play Kingdom Hearts for sure. I try to hop on there as much as I can. So we're going to get into the topic here, but Drew, just briefly, let us know.
Wait. We don't do this very often, but we are a Christian podcast that's not a Christian podcast. And I just want to share this out with you guys. My my heart's been struck by just wanting to look out for John and now even Drew with his apartment. But I just want to pray for John real quick, if that's okay. And I don't know everything he's going through because he's with something like this. You don't always get all the details because that's just how it goes. And we're newly friends, so it's not like I'm in the know. So just want to do a quick, short prayer for John and also Drew with his apartment. Lord, I just come before you with the 11 folks that are on here. Music is such a fun thing, and I know worshiping you is even better. But Lord, thank you for being amazing to us. Find John, find his family, be the divine psychologist, do everything that you need to do to relieve the anxiety and the grief and all the things that come with the afterthoughts of a loved one passing. Allow all the right decisions to be made and give them grace and mercy. Thank you for dying on the cross for us, but even more important, thank you for rising. In Jesus' name. Lord, I also pray for Drew in his apartment. And allow him to get back where he needs to be and secure the funds that are needed to continue to do whatever he needs to do to keep his living situation together as they fix the flood or whatever. Lord Jesus, amen. So, back to the lecture at hand, which is another musical quote. But anyways, 12 of you in here, say hello. Follow along this journey as we talk about the soundtracks of our lives. And this is how I kind of looked at it, Drew. I thought, if I pick up, I showed this album a minute ago, Temple of the Dog. It's not on my list, just kind of but it is a great album. And if I was to pick this, it would bring me back to 1990 something, hanging out with my friends, and knowing that Temple of the Dog is both Eddie Vedder, Chris Cornell, the type of music that would bring us into, type of clothes we were wearing, whatever it may be, it would give you a snapshot of who I was. So tell us your criteria today. Like, what were you thinking when you were kind of putting this list together? And let's get this show on the road, man.
So yeah, my criteria for this list is I had three things. One, it had to be a CD or an album I still had. Because obviously I want to care about it enough that I'm not going to let iTunes or Spotify or whomever decide, oh, we're not licensing that music anymore, y'all, and we're taking it from you. So yeah, I had to have gone to the trouble of actually buying the physical album. Two, 95% of the songs on there I have to like enough that I would not hit skip on the CD player.
That's part of mine.
Spoiler alert, I'm a 90s kid. I did CDs. And thirdly, I had to have a memory attached to it. So, yeah. Those are,
right,
that's my criteria.
that sounds solid. That's kind of where I think a lot of us are going to be in that.
That's kind of where I'm at with I want to listen to the whole album thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's there. Yeah.
All right. So, with that said, Drew, get us started with your Rosie, the first one off your list, number 4 on your list. We're going, 4-1, but Rosie, what you got for life albums?
So, this album is, while it's actually the newest album I have purchased, ironically, all the songs on it are older than I am. I first came across it in a movie that I saw, I think, when I was 4. And yeah, this is one of the very first movies I watched, period, and paid attention to, which is surprising considering what it is. And that is the soundtrack to Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Now,
wow.
You can say a lot of bad things about this film, and I will not tell you you're wrong. The music is not one of them. This is some of the most beautiful music Star Trek has ever had put to film. And honestly, I've been a Trekkie. Like, my very first memory is coming home from church to watch an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. I'm not kidding. This movie is a memory that I have going all the way back to when I was like 4 or 5, going to a church in a denomination I'm not even in anymore, because the night that this aired on television for the first time, my parents happened to be going to a Sunday school party, and the Sunday school class shared babysitting duties for everybody, and it just happened that that movie was coming on that night, and the pastor's kid who was there had to actually hit record on the VCR because their timer didn't work. Their time record didn't work. And I watched the whole thing that night, and it's like, I loved it. And like I said, the music in this is brilliant. It's got an instrument on it called a blaster beam it was created that instrument was created only 10 years before this. And this is the movie that got it like in people where people first heard it for the first time in wide dispersal. And it literally is an I-beam with electric pickups and guitar and long guitar string. That's what this thing is, and it produces this kind of low metallic note that it used for the alien spaceship music. But the music is just so wonderful. Every time I watch this movie, it takes me back to being 5 years old, staring at this CRT television with like three or four other kids around me, and we're watching this giant mysterious spaceship come across the screen and just shock and this completely disintegrate these giant spaceships. And yeah, it just brought me back to that. It just brings me back to that every single time. And Star Trek is one of my first nerd loves. So, and like it or not, it has colored a lot of my outlook on life. So yeah, the soundtrack to Star Trek: The Motion Picture is my first, is my Rosie for this one.
Yeah, that's look. I'll just give you the heads up. I didn't even go soundtracks, and I could do that because there's some solid ones here. But I'm excited we have one.
I'll admit this is my only soundtrack. Everything else is at least an artist. So
yeah, I like this. So I'm assuming this is a like score film movie.
Yes, it is this is the 20th anniversary collector's edition of the film score, and it even comes with a bonus CD that apparently is a re-release of a record that came out way back in the 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
So
I was never a Star Trek guy. My dad did watch, like we put on Next Generation or what was the TV show. I mean, the 90s. Like that was something that was on there.
Right.
But I'm not opposed to Star Trek. Like I feel like people think you either have to be a Star Wars or Star Trek guy. Like that's the only thing you can do.
I don't even fall into that camp. I like both. It's just you put a gun to my head and ask me which is better, I have an answer.
Yeah. I think Star Trek's been more developed, at least because it was, I guess maybe the TV show at one point, but there's been a lot of Star Wars. I don't know. Regardless, I love this pick. I think that I haven't heard it myself, but I love that we're going for like a film score in this one.
Yeah, it's the full orchestral film score. This movie was kind of made in the vein of 2001: A Space Odyssey, where the music was just as big a player as the visuals on screen. And you even just throwing this in the CD player and listening to it, it's a great score to listen to.
I love it.
It's not like some modern scores that are just so atmospheric; they're kind of boring to listen to without the visuals.
That's true. Yeah.
I'll just say this: I love soundtracks, and having a soundtrack of our life is just really cool to even think about. I love soundtracks. I loved our episode. We've actually done 2 episodes with soundtracks, one of video games, one of movies. We even did TV theme songs, so we've kind of done 3. But Next Generation was the only Star Trek I really, I guess, got into. And I remember, I did watch Star Trek. I caught it on syndication every once in a while, but it was nothing where I followed it except for Next Generation, and it was mainly for one reason and one reason only. Next Generation, when I was about 9 or 10, I had my TV in my room for the first time, and I would watch Arsenio Hall every night to go to bed. Next Generation came on right after it. And so I'd watch Arsenio Hall, and then I would just leave that on and kind of fall asleep or watch an episode or so.
Yeah. Well, since you have seen Next Generation, I do want to point out that the Next Generation theme song is just slightly modified of the main theme of this film. It is the same,
okay,
slightly different instrumentation,
that's cool.
and throwing in, of course, the Star Trek fanfare at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that
this is a good one, and we didn't call this one out when we were there, but the Highlander.
There can only be one, though. There can only be one.
Yeah, there can only be one.
You know,
which doesn't explain why there's 6 of those films.
They're not even listening to their own advice.
Hey, Genesis, is anybody with you today? So that's one of my students. Anyways, yeah, I love this pick, man. I had a couple soundtracks that I thought through that I might have put on here, but I'm going to tell you, this is much lighter on the eyes than a lot of what I'm going to be showing today. And
let me ask this real quick. Derek is asking Drew specifically, what is the best Star Trek series of all time?
That's a hard question. I probably have to go with Next Generation, if only for the fact that it's the one I grew up with originally. It's what I started with. Granted, I only remember the last 2 seasons because I'm born in '85. First season started in '88. I'm not going to remember a lot from that time period as a child.
Yeah.
But Deep Space Nine is also very good. In fact, right
there you
now,
go.
I'm working my way through a franchise watch through of all of Star Trek because some of this stuff I've not seen, but maybe once or only seen in reruns, and definitely not in the context of the rest of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I think
what
Patrick Stewart just immediately makes it the best one.
Oh yeah,
I think you got him, you got LeVar Burton, you got Will Wheaton. It's a Next Gen is definitely,
so
at least for nostalgia purposes.
That's a great pick. But you just clarified it for me. So you said Next Gen came out in '88. I'm 78, so that puts me at 10. Mm-hmm. So that is about what I would have thought. Arsenio Hall, it playing in the background. So
I was
about
2,
10, and I did watch this. I really did love Picard and Data and what was the Klingon's name?
Worf, son of Mo.
Yeah, I love Worf. So, anyways, good pick. Whoopi Goldberg was in that too.
Starting in the 2nd season, yes.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Was she like a bartender or something?
Yeah, well, she's a bartender, but she's got some secrets that they never fully get into. She's got a mysterious side.
Whoopi Goldberg is mysterious.
She still has a mysterious
I will say this is the only thing I like Whoopi Goldberg in, so...
Hey, Jumpin' Jack Flash is cool. Jumpin' Jack Flash is cool.
I like Whoopi Goldberg
in Ghost.
I like Whoopi Goldberg in Little Rascals.
I haven't
Little Rascals.
I've seen Little Rascals, but that's a cameo, so it almost doesn't count.
She's in the movie. It's all that matters. Anyway, before we get derailed on Whoopi Goldberg facts, Kirk, we're going to move to you now. Criteria for your list today. What you got?
So I cannot go with the original criteria that I keep calling him Jacob. I'm used to having both of you on here. That Drew went with the have to own it. I have a lot of CDs and stuff here, and I have a bunch in my hand, but I don't have every one of my picks today. But I do have quite a few, even from that band, or it might be another album or something. I do love the second thing he said, though. The whole CD or the whole album, the whole tape is playable from beginning to end. Even if the song wasn't great, it was one of those that you didn't hit forward because it was good enough. And so with that, the last thing is I kind of put a list together, and then I realized that there was about 5 or 6 from my pre-high school days. There was about 12 to 15 from the high school days, and about 10 post-high school. So I kind of was like, there he is, Jacob. Yeah, we should have tapped him in and got you on this show too. After my man John dropped out, my bad. But we're gonna have you on again soon. There's the Lycan artist right there. Go and he does a lot of art, and he has some other projects he's doing too. So you should check him out, man.
And he's just started streaming his artwork too.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool. But I'm gonna say all of these albums, when I tell you about it, I've got a little bit of a story of my life in that time frame, and it's just going to kind of explain and paint a good picture of my youth. Now, here's the deal: the soundtracks of my life, all of them are from the past because, again, I it, I would tell you Spotify, I guess now, or the radio. Um, Year one, I thought that the radio was more important than Spotify, and I still love the radio. But most people don't like it because of the commercials. I get it, and the DJs. They just want to listen to their music. So I'm rambling. Let's get to my first pick, my Rosie. And Andy, this one isn't going to shock you that it's on the list. It might shock you where it's at. And I don't own this one. This is one that has it's eluded me right now, and I remember. So let me give you a kind of a story right now. So I have this case, right, and it's got just case CD after CD after CD after CD, and then I've got this case, which is CD after CD after CD after CD, and this, and then I have this case, which is a bunch of CDs, and I still don't have it in any of these. And I was kind of upset. I was like, where in the heck are these CDs? And most of the ones I really want to talk tonight are really not in here, but I found some other ones. But this one I've talked about as early as last week, and it means a ton to me. I don't have one from any of them, but I am going with the greatest hits album, and it's called The Vault, and it's Def Leppard's greatest hits. And to me, this is one of those albums that is beginning to end for me. And this brings me, when I owned The Vault, I was actually in high school. But owning when I listen to The Vault, it transports me back to 8, 9, 10-year-old Kirk, listening to my sister's music in the house because she kind of controlled she's 8 years older than me. She kind of controlled the radio. I was a younger kid. Her friends coming over, they're having sleepovers, and just hearing the hair metal, the bands that they're playing. And I just really love Def Leppard. My sister and I, as a family, with my other sisters, have gone to, I don't know, about 4 together. My sister has actually gone to like 40. But this is my 80s band. This brings me back to young Kirk. And just kind of looking up, not knowing what's going on, but really loving. I really have a love for ballads. And not everybody likes this, but one of the things I love most about the 80s is a power ballad. And I will go listen to these all day, and sometimes even get like some tears, and just thinking about a moment in our life. So I'm going with that one, and I don't own The Vault, and I don't even have a paper for The Vault, which I was hoping I had at least one of those. But yeah, my first one off the chain today is going to be Def Leppard, The Vault.
Yeah, I'm pulling up track list. Pour some sugar. I mean, obviously it's greatest hits. So Pour Some Sugar, Photograph, Love Bites, Animal, Armageddon,
Hysteria,
Rock of Ages, Hysteria, Fool. I mean, yeah, that's the greatest hits for sure is a way to go. So this is a good pick. I knew that Def Leppard would be on there. I was curious as to which album, but it makes sense that you went greatest hits because that's going to cover the gamut.
So
yeah.
By the time I was purchasing them, I didn't go back and get Hysteria or Pyromania or any of those. I went right for The Vault and just listened to the ones.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I had that one album. Oh, what I didn't share is that I had at least 2 or 3 more of these cases that were stolen from me at a different point in time, and I bet those were in that. So yeah.
Drew, you like Def Leppard? I know you said 87, 85 you're born, 85?
I was born in 85, so unfortunately it would all be 80 oldies stations where I would catch any of the classic rock stuff, which I hate calling those oldies.
Yeah.
But I'll admit to you, I would not even know. While I'm fairly certain I know a lot of Def Leppard songs, I wouldn't have been able to tell you they were Def Leppard. But
Got it. Yeah. Kirk can let you know everything about Def Leppard. He is a big Def Leppard guy. Every friend group has to have the Def Leppard guy, and we have one, so that's good.
And I'll admit, that's not the kind of music my parents would listen to, so it's just not the stuff I listen to all the time.
Yeah.
Growing up.
And hey, that's a great point you bring up, because what makes the Rushmore a big part of it is your upbringing, right?
So wait,
what kind of household you're in.
Can we just kind of go backwards a little bit?
Yeah, we can.
Without giving away, Drew, what was the vibe? What was the music in the house? What type?
90s era country, because that was the time period, but
Great.
you also must remember that my dad plays bluegrass guitar.
No way.
So I have a very classical upbringing and very strong guitar technique. And I can be a bit snobbish if I'm not careful.
I love that.
That's great. That's great. So my house was a lot of 50s and 60s.
I've got a lot of that too.
Doo-wop type stuff, Temptations, that kind of stuff. My mom wasn't big into music. Not that she hated it, but I don't know a band that she liked. I don't know a singer she liked. My oldest sister was a Barry Manilow. So when
my mom was a Barry Manilow fan. In fact,
my oldest sister's like 16 years older than me. So she's
I know I know far more Barry Manilow songs by heart, and then I can still sing along with them.
Two sisters, I have no idea what they loved. And then my youngest sister was all hair metal, right? And then by the time it got to me, I was the one that introduced my family into hip hop and rap and harder metal, if you will, stuff that was not in my house.
That kind of stuff would not have been in my house either.
Hey, real quick, Patrick McCaskill's here. Hey, glad to see you here. I know a couple weeks ago, maybe it was a week or two ago, you had mentioned that you were heading to the hospital, man. So glad to see you here.
How was all that, Patrick?
Hope everything's going well for you, man.
We prayed for you on stream, Patrick. You're a big part of this community. We love you. We hope you're doing okay, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this is a good pick, man. This is a good pick. So I'll move to mine and criteria, and I'll kind of answer, since we're talking about that type of household we grew up in. That's a huge part of my criteria. These all. So I'm, as a musician, I tried to think about what were the albums that meant a lot for me musically.
Hey.
Either getting into music. Hey man, yeah, like I do want to stop there, man. Yeah, in the hospital now, man. Hopefully everything's good for you.
Yoda, we'd love to pray for you if you'd like us to.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to pray for you.
I'm sure he'd be fine with that. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure he'd be fine, considering that's a great picture.
Just bear with me for a second. I mean, I don't mind praying for you as Yoda's blessed life.
Let him finish. Let him finish. And we'll
No. I will pray right now. I'll stop. But I don't mind praying to Jesus for Yoda's blessed life. But what's the name? What's the actual name that's tied to that? Because I would prefer to pray by name if possible. If not,
what's Yoda's real name? I don't know that he's ever.
If you don't want to say it, it's okay. I totally understand that. I'll just pray for it as Yoda's blessed life.
I do know his wife's name, but that's not going to help us. But
I'm trying to stall for a second to see if he's going to put that in there. But I'd like to.
So just tell us about your criteria.
David. There we go. I'm going to pray for David real quick, and then we're going to get back into my pick. God, we stop right now. God, in the middle of this, that we know that none of this stuff really eternally is important, God, but you love your people. God, you love, God, you are a healer. You're in the business of that, Lord, and you've always been and you always will be that. So, Lord, we just stop right now. We pray for David, God, in the hospital, God, whatever ailment, Lord, that he has, whatever sickness, whatever pain, whatever discomfort, Lord, that it is that he has right now, Lord, we just pray that you would do what only you can do in his life, God, that you would be his ever-present help in his time of need. God, that your Holy Spirit would just move through him in such a way that would bring him back to full and complete health. And God, I pray for just during this time, like when he's in the hospital, I know that it may be uncomfortable. I know that there may be maybe some anxiety that tries to creep in. God, I just pray for peace over that, supernatural peace that surpasses all understanding. Be the healer that you and only you can be. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Well, man, we're going to keep you in prayers for sure. But let me get back to the pick here. So criteria-wise, I was picking albums specifically that played a huge part in my being a musician, right? And it's all going to make sense here as I go through my list. And my first one really kind of is a nod to my dad. As a young kid, started showing an interest in music. My dad quickly took advantage of that moment to steer me in the right direction. And one of the first albums that he ever let me, now I listened to it on vinyl. He had this on vinyl and then purchased it as a CD so that it was just more accessible and easy to just have it on the CD as well. But I remember listening to this, and it's like that moment when everything just made sense. It just like my world opened up to music here. This was very early on. I'm going to go Led Zeppelin 4. Led Zeppelin 4, the album, is, as you can imagine, the fourth album of Led Zeppelin. It's what many people would consider to be their big commercial success, huge hit one. Track list. You got Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, Rock and Roll, Misty Mountain Hop, When the Levee Breaks, Four Sticks, all of these, plus some other ones that are on there too. But this album, for me, when I listened to it, again, like I said, it opened up everything for me. I obviously, as somebody at that time who was showing the interest in drums, listening to John Bonham for the first time, there's certain feelings I wish I could capture again. And as a kid hearing John Bonham for the first time, you'll never get that again. But it just makes sense. And Kirk, I know I nerd out about Bonham, as any drummer should.
Bonham lick.
But he is literally the most ahead of his time drummer, most innovative, one of those guys that you imagine what would music be like had he not tragically passed away. Obviously, he had a lifestyle that he couldn't live up with, right? He's on the wrong path. But just from a strictly musical standpoint, the dude was just a master at his craft. But then you partner that with Jimmy Page, Robert Plant, John Paul Jones. That is the perfect four members of a band. They couldn't get any better. So fantastic. But Led Zeppelin 4 specifically is the album. I remember the album cover with the old man and the big backpack full of sticks, like just this weird folksy looking, I don't even know what it was about. But hearing this changed my life. And it's still one of those things where, listen, I think, Drew, you messaged in like our group chat, like, man, I've had all these songs stuck in my head or whatever for the day or whatever. But I've been listening to Led Zeppelin 4 all day today, and it's just made me so happy. It is a perfect album. Much like what you said, Drew, unskippable. To me, an album has to be unskippable to be considered one of those things. I'll listen the entire thing through, and in fact, I did today. So I'm going Led Zeppelin 4. Kirk, I think it's not a surprise that Zepp made the list. I could have picked other albums.
It kind of is. It kind of does, not because it made the list, but because I know how rooted you are in music in the 2000s and 90s. But I do love that you're going to the root of what really got you loving drumming.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I wanted to make a distinction. I'm not necessarily picking, now it can be, but I'm not necessarily picking perfect albums or even like the greatest albums of all time. That does play a part in it, but I am picking ones that mean something.
Hey, pause. 1-0, baby. 1-0.
There you go. Okay.
Starting the season off right. Hey,
you gotta have one team. You gotta have one team with a win right now. You gotta have somebody.
1-0, baby. 1-0. All right.
Yeah.
So,
Drew, any Led Zeppelin love? I know you say musically. I don't know.
That's in that same era where it's like I probably know their songs, but I couldn't tell you they were Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Because
Stairway to Heaven, man.
I know Stairway to Heaven. I've heard it.
Yeah. Everyone should have heard.
And I know you don't play that in guitar stores.
Thank you. Yes.
That and Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, Isaac. I saw that. It made me happy. It made me happy. Actually, I love Soto, so I'm nothing against him. But Isaac, thanks for being here. We're gonna have you on the show here soon. We're gonna have you on the show real soon, and your show is very similar to today's show. We're gonna talk about some things that inspire you in your episode as well, and hopefully you hang around and take this journey with us. But yeah, Led Zeppelin, great. Here's one thing I know: I don't own, and I don't know that I've ever owned a Led Zeppelin CD, tape, album, or any of that. But I know a ton of Led Zeppelin songs from classic rock. I mean, listen, you put on a classic rock station, Led Zeppelin's coming on probably 3-4 times an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Some different variation. So really good. And then there's a lot of bands out there that have been inspired by them. So great pick, man. Good start. So covering it, Star Trek, number 1. Star Trek, and then Def Leppard and Led Zeppelin. Great start. Here we go. So we don't need to do criteria anymore. We got 10 people in chat. Hopefully every one of you have hit the like button. Everybody has already put on your schedule a plan on when you're going to watch the next episode, because we really would love that. What is the next one? This is now TJ Jazzy Jeff. This is number 2 that we're going to talk about, but number 3 on the mountain. What is the strange game everyone's excited about?
Baseball been very, very good to me.
Baseball.
Joe Boo.
Okay.
You will help me now? Baseball, man.
I know that who's on first, what's on second, and I don't know who's on third.
There you go.
That is one of the greatest skits of all time.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. All right. So speaking of Indeed, let's get to the job at hand. And you are up.
Very good. I was wondering where you were going with that, but I
yeah. I had to think of it for a
good.
second.
That was good. You were behind the count, and you snuck one. You got a single.
All right, Drew, my man Drew, you have another pick, and let's take us back down memory lane.
If you were to right now go look at my old iTunes music library, and I say old because like everyone else, I've moved to Spotify, or check my what I call my mixtape Spotify playlist, which is like 3 days worth of random songs that are all songs I like, you'll note that my musical taste could best be described as eclectic. I don't really follow like one genre or even one artist, but there is, and that's kind of reflected in my next pick, because there is one artist that I have bought every album that's come out since I started listening to him unheard before. I bought the album to listen to it, and he did put out a greatest hits album that, because of what he does, he can do rock, he can do rap, he can do Christmas songs, he can do folk songs. He's been going on for 20-30 years.
Here we go.
The essential Weird Al Yankovic.
Yes.
Here we go.
Oh, man. This is one of my favorite albums. Now, admittedly, I will say this is not the album I actually have the memory tied to. It's actually the Running with Scissors album. But because that was one of the very few birthday presents I ever got from someone who's not in my immediate family. Because my birthday hits like a week before Christmas, so I'm just so used to Christmas and birthday being squished together. The fact that I actually remember a specific birthday present tells you how important it was to me. And I know the entire reason he bought it for me, which was my idiot cousin. He bought it because it had The Saga Begins on it, because we're both space kids and both like Star Wars as much as we like Star Trek. But this album is such a classic. It's got all the greatest hits. You got Dare to Be Stupid, Like a Surgeon, The Biggest Ball of Twine in Minnesota, Smells Like Nirvana, The Night Santa Went Crazy, Amish Paradise, Saga Begins, like I said, eBay, hardware store, White and Nerdy, and we were mentioning a couple of extra legal services we used as we were teenagers back in the day. It also includes Don't Download the Song, that was literally released on those services first by Weird Al Yankovic. So, yeah, one of my favorite albums, period.
Absolutely love
because it just fits the wide range of my musical tastes. That's why it goes here.
One of my favorite things that Weird Al does, and it was on almost every one of his albums, or at least early on, is that every album has a polka song.
It is every album.
Is it every album? Okay, I know the ones that I had growing up. Like,
there's he has 20 of them across all of his albums. I think there's only maybe one or two he didn't do it on. It was before he realized how popular it was.
Yeah. Well, Drew, just so you know, we do put a poll up on Instagram. You've already won. So I think at this pick, I think you know how to play to our crowd for sure, because we've got some Weird Al fans.
I'll admit it had nothing to do with playing to the crowd. It's just like literally, this is one of my favorite albums. Period.
Great pick. Also, Kevin
got
said
2 CDs worth of classic music. So
Kevin's chatting up that UHF.
And then I threw out the quote, will you take what's in the box?
I got a question for you, Drew. I got a question for you. One, I enjoy Weird Al. It is a acquired taste. I enjoy Weird Al. I don't know that I would enjoy listening to Weird Al over and over and over again. Like, to me, I don't know if it was one of those that I would go back to, like quickly. But I do have to ask, one of the things I do love going back to, just because I can't stop laughing because it's even funnier, is when our best friend of Culture Box, Roy, gets called to sing us a Weird Al song on his channel. Which one are you picking when it's his turn for you?
Well, I've only been able to get it once because you have to have at least 3 people come over with you on the Twitch side of things.
Right.
And I don't remember what I picked that time, but honestly, if I get it again, I think I'm gonna get him to sing the second verse of White and Nerdy, so that he has to say the phrase, "I can recite Holy Grail really well and can recite it right now and have you ROTFLOL."
I just put there too.
Inside joke is he hates the Holy
Grail. I like Amish Paradise.
Amish Paradise is good.
Discount price. Living in an Amish Paradise.
Here's the weird thing. I know most of these songs more from the Weird Al parody than the original song.
There you go.
There was one trip we went on. I think we went bowling, and Gangsta's Paradise came on overhead. Well, I don't know Gangsta's Paradise. I'm sorry to all the people out there who love that song. I don't know it, but I just start going, as I walk through the valley where I harvest my grain, I take a look at my wife and realize she's very plain.
Hey,
but that's just perfect.
And I get a lot of people staring at me because it's like, that's not words. It's like, it is as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, there you go. Dangerous Minds. Wow, you got all the polls right now. You have the soundtrack for Dangerous Minds? Is that the insert for the?
That's the insert.
Wow. Kirk, you're on top of it.
Yeah, there it is. That's Gangster's Paradise, but yeah, sure.
Well, yeah. All right. Well, fantastic pick. You won. Doesn't matter what we talk about the rest
by the way, another question. So Fox says, my son and I went and saw Weird Al live. And then Jessica's saying, wait, Fox, he's still performing. That's so cool.
Yeah. I've seen Weird Al twice.
I was going to say, have you seen him live?
You do not know fun until you're sitting in a room with about 100 or 200 people singing along to The Saga Begins while Weird Al Yankovic's up there with the 501st. Standing next to Darth Vader.
Do you enjoy the movie?
The movie is a thing. It's better than Star Trek V: The Final Frontier.
It was hard to get into. It was slow.
It's a thing. I live with it. It's better than The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Well.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, okay. But anyways, I love that. I love that for you. And I like Weird Al. I enjoy it. Man, this tells me a lot about you, Drew. Star Trek, Weird Al. I'm anxious to see where you're going to go next. But I'm going to open a door for you guys right on in. I was not always saved. Just saying that. But when I was a kid, I loved kind of being a rebel, even though I wasn't. And so I loved rap music, and I loved everything that came after that when you talk about metal and other things. And one of my favorite things is when you mix the two together.
Okay, here we go.
And I mean, let's talk about break stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so how about
Is
this?
that a flag?
Yeah, let's zoom out. Let's zoom out.
Is that a
Well,
flag?
not zoom in. Let's zoom out.
Why is that flag not waving proud? Holy did you get that from a Mardi Gras vendor?
I did not. I actually.
I'm
pretty sure I ordered this off of eBay years ago, and it used to hang up in my office. It doesn't hang anymore. But I'm going with Limp Bizkit, and I could go with a couple different ones, but the one that I really love the most is hot dog flavored water. And
ladies and gentlemen,
yeah, here's the thing. It was a thing. It was a phase, and I still love it a lot. I love the fact that he wore a red Yankees hat backwards, because that's what I like to do. And I just loved new metal. I loved the introduction of new metal. To me, they were at the top of the peak for several years. At least in the first 2.5, 3 albums, and then they lost some pieces to the band because, if I'm being honest, Wes Borland thought they were being too sold out to corporate, so he wanted to go do his own thing. Leaning back, it's definitely acquired taste, but it brings you back into late '90s, after high school, into my military time. And when you think of this album, you can think of all the things that surround that time period and that type of music, all the other new metal bands, all the others, this and all of the slightly closer metal bands. So, for instance, I went to the Limp Bizkit concert, which they're expensive nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
They're touring, they look like a bunch of old fat dads. And it's kind of interesting to see Wes Borland not painted up and doing whatever. But those tickets are astronomically high, way more than I probably can ever afford. But if they come in the area, I would probably try and go at least one more time. But I went to see them with, and I might end up showing this other album later, but they went with Godsmack and DMX, and that is just a vibe of the late '90s, early 2000s that I love. So, yeah, astronomically high that is. So, great choice. Thought you were gonna go Beastie Boys. I am that old. Beastie Boys. I'm not picking them today, so I'm gonna show you. I'm not gonna pick them today. I do love Beastie Boys. Both two of the albums. I don't have the album with gosh, I missed this whole section here. I don't have the album with Brass Monkey and all of that, which is and No Sleep Till Brooklyn and all that. I used to. I don't. That was probably in one of those that were stolen. But there you go.
There it is. Also, by the way, I need to scroll back. Speaking of Beastie Boys, this quote earlier, I don't know if anybody caught it, was from a Beastie Boys, was from Intergalactic Planetary.
Well, this is it here. This is it.
Which featured on a Weird Al polka medley.
Yeah, or that.
Let it flow. Let yourself go. Slow and low. That is the tempo. Yeah, I got you some Beastie Boys.
My favorite, and I know we're just talking Beastie Boys. I'm going to talk about Limp Bizkit here in a second. I don't know why this is one of my favorite lines from Beastie Boys is like a lime to a lemon to a lime. I don't know why it's just, I don't know why I like that one.
So Poetically Christian says, before I took my Christianity seriously, Significant Other was my absolute favorite album of Limp Bizkit. I love Significant Other. Great album. I love Dollar Dollar Bill, y'all. I love yeah, which is a great album as well. Significant Other was the big one with Faith. You got to have faith. And then but this one here is Break Stuff, right? And you have a story about Break Stuff. You've told.
Well, I was literally about to tell that. I was in a band. They were on the show a while back, right? Last time we were talking about music, so it's been a year. Goodness gracious, it's been a year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Anyway, and we would write some pretty intricate songs, and we play them, and our friends were friends, and they were supportive. But when we would open up, we covered it one time, lost their ever-loving minds, and it was super fun. Limp Bizkit, Kid Rock, and Stained. Goodness.
That is some divorced dad rock if I've ever heard it. Hey, so Jessica, my wife and I are going to Stained in a month.
Nice.
Yep. So we have tickets in South Carolina to go see Stained in Greenville.
My wife and I's first date was at Aaron Lewis Solo Acoustic. And I had another
my
story.
wife and I's first kiss was listening to Aaron Lewis sing.
There's something about Aaron Lewis.
Infest.
In New Orleans. I have another story about that concert, but it is not for live television. So it was before I knew Jesus. So there you go. I'll just tell you.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so any thoughts on Limp Bizkit, Drew? Has Weird Al done a Limp? He's had to have done a Limp Bizkit.
He has stuff, but it's not. There's not one that's sticking out to me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Weird Al Limp Bizkit.
Let's see. Yeah.
And honestly, once again, Limp Bizkit's one of those.
Angry White Boy Polka is what keeps.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Angry White Boy Polka. That's probably Break Stuff.
Yeah. There's that. I think that was on the Poodle Hat album.
Yeah. Nice.
But yeah, I think that there's a lot of those where he's just doing a bunch of. I say screamer. That's not the right term, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Well, Limp Bizkit did a lot of things. They didn't do a lot of screaming. They did a lot of that screaming.
Well, in Faith, he screams a little bit in Faith.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, it's good pick. Good pick. I just want to say I do petition for you to hang the Limp Bizkit in your backdrop, at least for music time. At least for the remainder of music. I just think it should.
I don't know where he'd put it, but sure.
We'll go sideways right here.
Yeah, well, you can cover some of that stuff up. It's okay. All right. But, all right, so I'm going to move on.
It's just Bible. It's just Bible.
Maybe do the other side. Don't cover the Bible. I feel.
Patrick Mahomes is over on this side.
Well, yeah, definitely cover that. Anyway, let me move on to mine. So my pick, my TJ Jazzy Jeff, this is going to come as a surprise. Not that it would come as a surprise. The fact that it actually makes my four. Funny story about this one. This was actually never mass-produced, this album. It is not a burn mix CD, so don't worry about that. It was a legitimately recorded in a studio album, and there was no mass production of this. This was solely meant. I mean, it was on some CDs and stuff, but you can absolutely find it on Spotify now. You can find the whole mix. And I'm going to tell you what it is, and I think that Kirk is going to be the only one who knows what this is. I'm looking who's in the chat. Maybe somebody else who's in the chat has heard me talk about this, and it's going to sound weird that I'm saying it, but follow me on this. That this album was at a supremely important, I would probably say the most important musical time of my life. I'm going to go Invoke the Nightmares, The Fallen Forsaker. Now, I'm saying it, and nobody knows what it is. Kirk's even off the screen right now. I don't even know. But it was my band growing up, in college times. That played such a significant, obviously, role in my life because from that time in my life, that music basically was everything I did. Playing shows every weekend, going on tour, doing stuff like that, hanging out with some of my best friends. I mean, there's a billion stories we could tell, probably not on here, but stories that we could tell about that time in our life. And again, you can go on Spotify and you can type in Invoke the Nightmare and you'll find our album on there. 12 songs. You've got to like screaming metal to enjoy it. I was the drummer for that. So go check that out if you want to increase our listeners. I think right now it's just me and Dennis are the only two listening to it. But this album obviously was so significant for me because it was a huge part of my identity of who I was. Now I know that, again, I was in this band prior to knowing Jesus, but I know that, my identity is more than just what I do. But that was my life. That was absolutely my life for a long period. And I was in other bands and things like that too. This was the first one where we put together what I would call a legitimate album. But Invoke the Nightmares, Fallen Forsaker, I had to put it on my list. I'm not in this to win this week. I already know that Weird Al's going to win it for you. So I'm just going to throw these out there. Make a behind the music vid. Maybe we can get the Invoke the Nightmare guys together and try to figure out what kind of stories we can share. But it would be a ton of fun. But I do have one story. I'll say this. This I can share. We did go on tour. We were signed technically to an indie label here in Slidell, and the guy promised us he was going to book us this big tour. We were going to go through Florida, up through like Georgia, South Carolina, wrap around Tennessee, Texas, come back home. We had all these dates planned out, everything. Wound up only being 3 shows in Florida, 3 or 4 shows in Florida, but we had a blast. We had literally a tour bus and everything. Well, one day we have an off day of the tour, and we're parked at a mall, and we're just going to go into the mall and hang out for the day. And when we walk outside of our tour bus, we see police cars with their lights on everywhere. And we're like, what? No one's in there. What are we doing? What are we doing? Well, we get there and we ask the police, hey, what's the deal? What's happening here? So, well, there was this homeless man trying to break into your tour bus, and he kept telling us, I'm with the Doobie Brothers. I'm with the Doobie Brothers. And so he thought our tour bus was of the Doobie Brothers. He was probably a Doobie Brother, but maybe a different one. Yeah, it's a fun time. Anyway, so Invoke the Nightmare. If you like metal, go check it out. But that album just means so much to me, obviously, from a personal level. I don't expect it to resonate with anybody else, but that's why it's on my list today.
I will say this: I have listened, and it's definitely not my cup of tea.
I get it. Yeah.
I do like Everyone She Knows. What is the other band?
Oh, that's another band. We didn't have a full album, but Everyone She Knows.
I do like the song that you shared with me with those guys, which is basically the same guys, really, right?
A couple of Dennis and David.
Anyways, but this is pretty hardcore stuff, and I just never got into that.
Yeah.
But Fox would probably like it. Fox,
go check it out, man. Just do me a favor, Invoke the Nightmare. Skim through it a little bit. If you like horror movies, actually, by the way, let me show this. So we have a song called Solanum on the album, which is the Solanum or whatever is supposedly like the virus, that the zombie virus or something. We looked at anyway, and the song is written from the standpoint of a zombie taking over, like the zombies singing essentially. And we have a quote in the movie from my all-time favorite zombie movie, without a doubt. It's The Return of the Living Dead. And I actually got this print at the last con we were at. I like this one because it's very campy. It's very cool mix of like sort of kind of comedy, but also like gory craziness. And also, it's the first zombie movie, from what I understand, where the zombies actually ran and weren't just walking. So
poetically, Christian gamer, Slipknot is awesome. They're a little tame for some of the stuff that Andy's doing. Just letting you know.
They're just I wouldn't say they're tame. They're just a different, like that's new metal kind of stuff. We were like Black Dahlia Murder, death metal stuff. That's what. Yeah. In fact, we opened for Black Dahlia Murder, which was really cool. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that group. That was tons of fun. We partied with them. That was kind of
Didn't you do something with what's that guy's name? Really big, heavy guy.
really big, heavy guy.
Singer. Death metal. I'll think of it in a second.
Oh, Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse. Didn't you do something with them too?
Well, no, nothing. Me and Dennis went to their show, and we ran to his van and got one of our demos and gave it to the
Oh,
singer.
that's what it was.
Mhm.
That's what it was. You were trying to get your demo to him. That was it.
He was a really nice guy, but I know it's in the trash can, so it's okay.
That was it.
And that wasn't even that was our first band, so that was a different band. But anyway, regardless.
That's so good.
Enough
Hey,
about
well,
that.
look, so hey, let's chat. So Lincoln Park, not Lincoln Park, and that's not a Freudian slip. It could be though. We Limp Bizkit, Invoke the Nightmare, and Weird Al round 2. Great start. We're halfway through and right on time, right in that hour mark. Let's chat a little bit. Where is Bryce W? There he is. Bryce is doing some marathoning over on his channel, I'm sure. He is really doing some stuff over there. What's up, Skink? Welcome to the show. So let's chat. Cellcast is on, so we let's chat about Culture Box, which we always do about this time.
Right.
But Culture Box is a conglomerate of Christian creators. All of us have a bit of a different niche, whether it's movies, TV, cartoons, Dungeons and Dragons. Now we have guys coming in that are really into kaiju and things of that nature. Movies from 15 years ago, cartoons from years ago, some very underrated bottom shelf things, and all the other things in between. And we just love the Lord, and we love hanging out with each other, and we love supporting each other. We would love for you to go and support all of those channels. But today, we want you to support this one. Andy, who do we have up?
Well, I want to highlight my good friends Dallas and Celeste from Geek Devotions. Let's check it out.
Geek Devotions is a collaboration of devoted geeks that are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. They produce a weekly geek culture infused devotional, their podcast content, and written articles, all designed to encourage and challenge people in the geek community, bridging the gap between their faith and their geekdoms. Find all their content at geekdevotions.com.
And Andy, look, we've never done this before, but since Drew is on the channel, why don't we share about his channel as well?
Oh,
let's play that
you
video.
want 2 commercials tonight. Check
Ooh.
out Drew's and Jacob's, the Cellcast.
The Cellcast hosts Jacob and Drew review animated movies and TV shows, discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it's a traditional hand-drawn animated movie, claymation shorts, or a 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to The Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a C and a single L at thecellcast.podbean.com.
I'm realizing I put that together a year ago, so I have some. It's probably back in the archives now, some stuff. But
Right,
I
and we
thought it was brave of you to put our Song of the South episode on that page.
I just
So-
scrolled through it. No, it hasn't been canceled yet. So.
We also are going to be needing to do one for our buddy Nathan, who's now coming to join the team
Yeah.
up in the
Mhm.
summer, and he's going to be on the show in that same time frame. And he doesn't have a partner yet. Drew and Jacob, if you're still out there, if y'all want to join him, I know y'all are real big buds. But he's going to come on and do something as well. We'll chat about him coming up, and we got to get some of the other guys on here again too.
I can definitely talk kaiju if y'all don't have anyone for that.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly how he's going and what the route, but we'll figure it out. And that just rhymed. And I'm a poet and didn't know it. So
You're a natural Fred Durst.
yeah, there you go. So look, I do this every week. I am loving the fact that we're connecting with Christian nerds. and there's a ton of them out there, guys. Our buddy Hector Mire is going to be on at the end of music. Here's 2 of his devos. He's got 9 of them plus a few other books. Our guys over at Finding God in Video Games, they have a book as well. I actually just ordered one from Popcorn Theology. It's on movies. Our guys over at Nerd of Godcast, Andy, I still have your book right here. I'll trade you for my my camera. And then I haven't connected with Ellen yet, but I have reached out. We haven't chatted yet, but there are a couple other devos out there. And Andy, I am working on my devo right now, and I am working on my other book. Fox is in the chat. He actually read the first 5 chapters, and he gave me a cool little review about it, and I'm excited that I'm finally getting that thing kicked off. So I'm doing a lot of writing right now and kind of going through some stuff. I plan to hopefully in my mind, since I am a teacher and I'm going to be off for the summer, that I will have finalized at least book 1. I'm going to say this. Book 1 of Arcadius, which is my fantasy book, and hopefully book 1 of my devotion by the end of the summer. That's my goal. If I give myself a goal, I will chase it and I will try and get it done. So those 2 are out there. With that being said, we also have a convention coming up in the beginning of May. And in that convention, Andy, oh, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw, I hung it up just for you guys. We'll have a convention in the beginning of May in South Louisiana, if you're ever in that area. There have been some announcements being made. Most of them are of Star Wars guests. I think a lady that was in R2-D2 in one of the movies, a couple of the smaller Jedi that were on the fight at Geonosis. There was a couple other people here and there. So a couple cool guests, but we met Austin St. John there. We met Darth Vader there. We've met Sergeant Slaughter there. We have met other Power Rangers and all those folks there. Be sure to come out and hang out with us. We're going to be preaching the gospel in the midst of a bunch of nerds. And Drew, since you're here, one of the dreams of ours, and we've mentioned it in our Discord and our chat. Oh, I'm so glad I said that word, Discord. Right there, Discord's going below us. Guys, we're doing prayer requests and all that. We really would love to push our Discord just a little bit more. I'm in 3 or 4 other Christian creators, and that's literally their church. I don't expect our Discord to be our church, but I do expect it to be a better community for you guys that we can talk real time. If you guys have prayer requests or anything you'd like, jump on over to the Discord. We do plan on doing some streaming and video games and all that other stuff in the future. You'll find a lot more of that on the Discord page, and it is scrolling below us. Go hang out in the Discord with us, and after hours, we always like to chat. But what I was going to say, Drew, is we've talked around in the Discord and kind of just bounced around ideas. One of my dreams would be for a Culture Box booth at one or two of these conventions where we all kind of get together with some of our other friends, like Pop Culture Pastor, who's going to be on.
Yeah.
They're in Kansas City this weekend. They were just in Kansas City at PlanetCon. Nerd of Godcast was down in Orlando at MegaCon last week. I'm seeing Hector Mire is going somewhere this week. We could just get us all together and kind of jump in and hang out with us and kind of take over a wing of these places. It's one of those dreams, but I think it's one of the things we'd love to do. But
that'd be very fun to do. You'd think it'd be fairly easy to get me, you, and Geek Devotions to hang out someplace.
At least in GeekCon, we could go down there. Yeah.
We're all within the Louisiana, Texas area, East Texas area here. So
yeah. So we would. The GeekCon is in North Louisiana. I'd at least make the trip, and I think that's not too far for you and Andy. I think GeekCon is probably our best bet if we can figure that out with Geek Devotions. But hey, man, I'll take whatever I can. Talking books. Yeah. Hey, listen, no shame in our game. Can I say something? This is just a rant for a slight second. I can't stand when I go to somebody's channel and they're like, don't self-promote. Listen, I could really care less if you self promote. You're not.
Mhm.
If you take one of our friends and they leave us, listen, they were meant to be yours. But I'm sure if you promote and they love you, that would help us in the same. So I love all you guys. So anybody in the chat who has a channel, post
Very
it.
very.
Post it at
Very.
all times. Hey, go Astros. Yeah, Barry. That's Cannon, my son's team. We're playing the Brewers this weekend. They're undefeated. We only got one loss. It's a big game. So be cheering for the Astros Saturday morning, guys. Be on the lookout for that. Last thing, Andy. I do believe you just got a coffee order in. And
I got to talk to you about coffee.
Yeah.
So I just got in my 32 pack, which will last me until tomorrow, probably. No, it won't. I just got that in, and Cade, our good friend from Village Coffee, threw in, believe this, check this out, because I'm on the in. He's testing out 2 new roasts. He has a Costa Rica and a Brazil. So I tried out the Brazil today. Fantastic. So be on the lookout. They're continually working on some new stuff, and it's really awesome. But we love the Village Coffee. In fact, they're the official coffee of the Rushmore Show. I'm going to show you their commercial real quick. Make sure, if you like coffee, go to this website, use this promo code. We get nothing from it other than we just, he hooks me up with Brazil and Costa Rica when he starts making them, stuff like that. So anyway, let's check out Village Coffee before we get to the rest of our list.
Let's face it, at-home coffee can be pretty stale. Coffee at home doesn't have to be boring. The Village Coffee is here to deliver the flavor. The Village Coffee roasts coffee every week and sells online. Go to villagebeans.com to order your coffee today and use discount code Rushmore for free shipping.
There you go.
Hey guys. So yeah, that is the Village Coffee, and tell them where you got those beans from. So we're back from outer space, and I was a little disappointed. My wife jumped in here asking questions, so trying to figure out what was going on. So Drew, we're at the second half of the mountain. Weird Al Yankovic, new Next Generation or Star Trek soundtrack. Where are we going next to build out who Drew is?
So I did kind of go through a bit of a pop music phase, but it was Christian pop music. So I don't know how y'all feel about that. But early on, I came across this one band, and the first album of theirs I got was the Newsboys, Shine the Hits. And I kind of just like every single song on this album. I like the mostly I like the strange lyrics that seem to come up here, but still make sense. It's not every song you can have the phrase "What can make a vegetarian barbecue a hamster," and it still makes sense. So, yeah. This is the same or this is actually the greatest hits album. So I mean, it's also got like the song "Breakfast" on it, which has the great chorus. When the toast is burned and all the milk is turned, and Captain Crunch is saying farewell. When the big one finds you, let the sun remind you that they don't serve breakfast in hell. I'm not going to say this is very theologically deep in any way, shape, or form. But it's a fun, at least clean listen to. Yeah, and it's just a song. I probably went on so many school bus trips with this and my little CD Walkman.
Yeah.
With its 3-second skip protection. So, I was listening to skips a lot. But yeah, this was one of my favorite ones as I was in junior high and high school. And yeah. I am not as much of a fan of the Newsboys since the DC Talk guy took over for Peter Fuller, but it is what it is.
So, and maybe Kirk's kind of in the same boat with me. I was not a Christian when Newsboys were kind of, I guess, what we would consider in their prime.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I see Fox said Jars of Clay. Like there's all that stuff I've gone back and I've listened to and I appreciate it and I love it. In fact, I was a teenager when Switchfoot was out, and I had no idea they were Christian. I just really liked them, right? So like there was stuff like that.
I do remember when Switchfoot was actually known as a Christian band.
Well, yeah. So there's been there's things, but Flyleaf was another group that I just really
POD baby, POD.
POD. There's groups like that I really love.
Yeah.
And anyway, but with Newsboys particularly, they were not a band that I was into. Again, they're still putting stuff out, I believe. The God's Not Dead stuff, all that kind of stuff. I know that's still been a little bit. But
well, they've switched main singers, and the one that's there now.
Didn't somebody just leave like pretty recently?
I honestly have not followed it since Peter Fuller left nearly 10, 15 years ago now. When the guy, one of the guys from DC Talk, and I apologize, I don't remember his name.
Michael Tate, he stepped down recently.
Tate.
Yeah, Michael Tate. Sorry. I don't like his era of Newsboys, but each of their own.
So Michael Tate left?
Yeah, Michael Tate left. He's no longer in the group. He left in January. So
I did not know.
You can go listen.
I did not know that.
I may try them again when they get a new lead singer.
Yeah. So who knows? Yeah. So
I don't know what I want to say, but basically, I really love cheesy K-Love Christian music. I'll just be honest. Like, I am. So here's the deal. Just like Andy said, I was not into music, worship music, or any music of the sense that was what I would consider Christian.
I was about to say, I really hope some of these songs were not on worship playlists.
Yeah. So, I wasn't really into any kind of Christian music at all ever. But when I first got saved, and I have a ton right here, I'm going to show. I have a ton of Christian music here that, to me, is my favorite. Just to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, and I got one more right here. Yep, there. So, but one of the things that I love, and it was just, I love going to live music. I just love live music. And one of the things that I love going to was Winter Jam. And at Winter Jam, if there was a band there and they sold a CD, I probably bought it because I was trying to build my collection up to kind of do that. But there you go. Newsboys, Skillet, Family Force 5, Red, all from Winter Jam or whatever. The only Newsboys CD I have is this one, which is Restart, which is at the end of kind of like with the Tate, Michael Tate stuff. But I didn't know that he left. I enjoy them. They're not my favorite, but I'm gonna be honest. I don't listen to hardly any Christian music anymore. I went through like a phase of that.
Yeah.
When I got saved, and I was kind of trying to I want to listen to this, and it's not that I think it's cheesy. Really, when I listen to music, it's probably classic rock most of the time, and it's something that's probably on the radio. If I'm in the car, most of the time I'm listening to YouTube. Literally, I put a YouTube channel on, and I listen to somebody's podcast or somebody talking about a video. So I hardly listen to anything anymore. Worship is just not something that I need to do or that I want to do. I need to do more often. But these guys and bands like this get a bad rap. I do believe, especially if you're super Christian, you're like you said, they got weird lyrics. Or they're just kind of too poppy and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't consider any of this actual worship and praise and worship music.
Exactly. Or you got the other hand where you're like, that's just dumb and it's not even good. I'm kind of in the middle. I enjoy it, and I'll listen to it every once in a while. I think this is a great pick. Gives me a lot of insight.
I'm opposite of you, Kirk. I just can't get into K-Love music.
Yeah, I don't understand that. I don't understand why somebody wouldn't. If you're going to listen to Christian music, I don't understand the difference between something that comes on K-Love and something that doesn't.
I can't get into the CCM. I think that's a lot.
Yeah, that's the stuff I really can't get into anymore either.
Yeah,
I kind of
a lot of it, and I try not. I mean,
I
be
fell out of
honest
that
with you.
scene in 2006. So
Honestly, I'd
There's a lot of
rather see
music that comes
CM than
out.
a lot of this other stuff, though. I
And
really
honestly,
would.
though, there is a lot of music you have to discern. And I know this is not a theology podcast, so I'll keep this brief. But you have to be able to discern what is worship, and we're making that discernment. What is actually worship and praise music?
mhm.
What is just uplifting music, right? And the problem that I have with a lot of K-Love type music is that theologically it's not very sound at all. And when it's not theologically sound, it almost actually it could steer people in the wrong direction, and they don't have a true understand. Like, for instance, there was one I heard the other day where it was like, I'm loved by my father, and he would never change a thing about me. And it's like, oh yeah, I mean, there's like, and I'm
Can I tell you
paraphrasing the
something?
lyric, but it essentially says that, and I'm like,
there's a little something called
that's easy to sign up for.
sanctification I'd like to present you with.
Can I just share another point? And that's a great point. This is one of the reasons I don't always know lyrics, because I don't always listen to the lyrics.
Yeah.
Like I don't sit there. What I mean by like when I'll sing the lyrics, and half the time, if I don't sit down and read them outside of the song, I don't even know what I'm talking about. What I mean by that is I can't tell you how many times in the last like 5 to 10 years I'm listening to a song and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what that means. Turn that off. I've been singing that for 35 years.
I think that the difference is when I was listening to music prior to being a Christian and really just being in the drumming mode, I was always about music, right? And I'm still obviously gravitating to the music side of things. But what distinguishes worship music and secular music, right? And again, I'm not against, obviously I like secular music too, is the lyrics, right? Because a lot of contemporary Christian music, literally you can sing it about a truck and it would be a country song. But the lyrics were that, musically there's no difference. But it's the lyrics, so I do pay attention to those. So
the only time I'm
not every song, and let me keep this brief. Not every song that's on there is theologically unsound. There are some good ones, but the ones that are on there, it's like it's easy to sign up for a Christianity that doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah,
and a lot of the songs are really pointing to that, and we don't really get to that.
I totally agree with you. I'm not trying to knock that. Only time I'm looking at the lyrics is if an actual church has the lyrics up on the stage and we're doing it as a worship song.
Yeah.
If I'm listening to K-Love, I don't care what the lyrics are saying. I'm not listening to it.
I will say this to that point. I do have a pet peeve when worship puts the lyrics on the screen, but they put "oh" as the lyric. Like no one needs to know that that's the lyric. That's just like truth. Or like, yeah. Like, why are we putting that? That's a side note.
That's when you're being too particular.
Yeah, that's it's not about me. I know it's not about me. So I don't really raise it.
I have a lot of worship pet peeves. I do.
I don't think you can be even a slightly bit of a musical person and not have some pet peeves when it comes to worship music.
Yeah.
My favorite is we have a girl at our church right now, and they're gonna have to change the carpet because she is gonna wear a hole in it going back and forth. She never stops. Never stops. And I get so distracted. I don't even know what she's singing half the time. I'm just sitting there watching her go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. Just weird things like that. Anyways, I love this pick. I knew there was going to be some Christians somewhere, and we need it because I sure as heck don't have it at all in any of my 8 lists today. Not because I'm not Christian, but again, I'm going with stuff as a kid and who I was and where I'm at. Because what I do listen to now is Spotify mainly. And so I don't have.
Well, I will tease that my last one is also a Christian album.
Ooh.
That's great.
It is not on here because it's a Christian album. I'll put it that way.
Weird Al had a Christian album?
No.
No.
That'd be interesting.
Kevin's still out there. I know there's only 8 here. Is Kevin still out there? Oh, by the way, Zach popped in. I put it up on the board while y'all were chatting. Zach, if you're still out there, hello, man. Welcome. We miss you, man. We haven't seen you in a while. And, I mean, we love you, bro. And so I hope everything's well. I jumped in on his channel today or maybe yesterday. He's talking about how to save money over at Subway. And that was pretty cool. I like Christian rock music like Creed. Yeah. And so there you go. Creed, I
Mhm.
never knew they were, I had no idea that
But
Creed is Christian?
they're not a Christian
That's-
band. He has Christian lyrics,
he has
but he
Christian
even
lyrics.
admits they're not a Christian band.
Yeah. So he's kind of similar like POD. They started out Christian, but that last album got him kicked out of Christian book stores. So here we go. My next pick, if Kevin's still out there, hopefully he's still out there. I don't know if he's still out there. It was a flip of a coin between 3 albums. The other 2 are definitely going to be on my Benjamins for sure, but I'm going to go with this one. I've mentioned this band before in the past. We're going with my second. Like, gosh, this brings me back to playing video games. It was the soundtrack I played for weeks and months. I played a lot of Final Fantasy, Secret of Mana. That might be giving it away if you've seen the show. I've talked about it before. I do have the actual CD here. Their drummer was on my Rushmore of drummers. And this one, unfortunately, is probably unplayable. It has some CD rot on the back. But that color might give it away. And there it is, man. I'm going with the Green Day Dookie album. Billy Joe, man, dude, this was like my anthem when it came out. It is definitely pre. It is definitely pre. I will say this: these guys, I don't. Again, talking about the lyrics, right? The only lyric that I remember them saying that I really understood was the one I probably shouldn't have, right? The big M word, you know what I mean? But all the other ones, I really didn't care what they were doing and what they were talking about. But I probably don't follow in line with anything these guys think politically, musically. They're just like anti everything, and I don't care. I love their music and I love the sound, and every single song on this album was fantastic. I remember putting it in, just like y'all were saying earlier, the Walkman, putting it in and just letting this thing play all 14 songs. And the reason I asked if Kevin was in the chat, Kevin introduced me to Green Day, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I think he had the Paper Lantern CD, along with our buddy Marcus, that we've talked about on them. And we liked some Green Day back in the day. But yeah, Green Day, Dookie, cover to cover, man. Cover to cover. Such a fun album. Basket Case, Pulling Teeth, man, having a blast. Welcome to Paradise.
Welcome to Paradise. When
Chump,
I come around.
in the end, coming clean. Gosh, when I come around. Bro, this CD is so freaking good. PNX. I've been waiting for y'all to get here. How are you guys? Welcome. PNX, when you guys use your Discord, I don't get it. Like, you post something and it disappears. Am I missing something? You got to teach me what you're doing. I don't know what's going on. So, anyways, Green Day Dookie.
Yeah, this is a great album. To me, though, when it comes to Green Day, it's this album, and I don't really want other things. Like some other songs here and there, but this album is fantastic.
So Paper
like
Lantern,
you said,
fun.
they're very
Paper Lantern's
political.
fun. It was kind of before they were a thing, and it's kind of before they were a thing. And then the one after this, I do love the song because of the Saints. The Saints are coming, whatever, you know. I do like the When November Ends. Is that what it?
Wake Me Up When
September ends.
Because you know that is a big thing about his dad. That's a really cool song.
It's his mom, I think. His mom had cancer or something.
Dad, one of his parents. And then the American Idiot song is fun until I realize exactly what he's singing. So here you go. So like, that's what I'm talking about. I don't necessarily know the words or care about the words, but I do like the song. So
just listen to Weird Al's Canadian Idiot and you'll be fine.
There you go. I actually don't know. I'd have to check. So every time PNX, you guys put a video out, it drops a link over there, and I go to click the link, and the link's not there. I don't even see it. It's weird. I don't know what's going on over at your Discord, but I just joined, and there's nothing ever on it. and it's kind of fun. I see a post, but it's not there. So Fox says Green Day was my first self-discovery item, music, and that didn't come from anyone else. Heard Basket Case on MTV and fell in love. Hey, Kirk and Andy, I'm sorry to bother y'all about prayer. When y'all get a chance, can y'all pray for my grandmother? She's 94, and she's been rushed to the ER again just now. Hey, yeah, let's stop the stream. Hey, so just now, Bryce, she's been rushed to the hospital. Anyways, it doesn't even matter. But pop that in the chat so I have more context. Lord, let's just, hey, in the middle of talking about Basket Case and Dookie, we could stop the stream and go to the Lord. Hey, Lord, we thank you for being so amazing, even in the small times, Lord, when we don't feel like we're seen, don't feel like we're heard, even through some fun things, talking about old music and video games and TV. You can come here in the midst of a bunch of people, some believers, some not, some just curious, and know that we're all here lifting each other up. Lord, Bryce has come to you. We're laying it at your feet. We're asking you for mercy and in all that needs to happen with his grandmother. Lord, his grandmom is making her way to the ER right now. Lord, I ask you to bless the hands of all of the doctors, the nurses, the staff. Allow just a great experience. And Lord, whatever your will be done, to allow everybody to be at peace. Grandma's 94. Man, she's lived a great life, Lord. But we'd love to see her make it to 95, 100, 105. Lord, bless her and give her just a great stay and a quick recovery. Be the divine physician, move around in her body to fix whatever is going on. In Jesus' name. Barry in the house. Bryce J. Dub. I know Brer is praying for you, Bryce. We love you, man. You're amazing. Bryce, and thank you for dropping that in here. The lead singer of Creed was raised Christian, fell away because of, exactly. You know, he wrote most of that album on a empty room, just on a mattress on the floor. For that, it's a big album, and it might actually get mentioned tonight. But anyways, Green Day Dookie. That's going to be my next pick, man.
Yep. All right. Boom, boom, boom. I guess I'm going to move on to mine now. Dookie is a fantastic pick. I love that there. Bryce, you are amazing, man. So let me paint the picture, right? And that's what this is all about, right? 2000. Let's see, what year was this? It's probably 2003. Okay. Now the album, I believe, came out 99. Let me fact check myself real quick. Album came out in 1999, but in 2003, I had a fond desire to play the drums. I mentioned it in my Rosie pick of Led Zeppelin 4. That kind of stirred that on, learning about John Bonham. But when I actually got my first drum kit, this album meant so much to me because what I did is I had my Walkman CD player.
I almost put this album on it.
And I was horrible at drums, so I sat it on my floor tom. Sat my CD player on there. Mind you, we didn't have wireless headphone technology at the time, so I'm wired into this thing. And I put on this disc and just tried my best to play along to this album. He has since become one of my favorite drummers of all time. He made my top 4 drummers. And I'm going to go 1995.
Comedians.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication album had to be on my list. Now, I was learning to play drums to one of the best drummers of all time, Chad Smith. And I didn't do it any justice. But that album is just so good, man. I went back and again listened to it. Around the World, Other Side, Parallel Universe, Get on Top, Scar Tissue, Californication. It is what I believe is their best album. I know that other people are going to have other opinions.
Yeah.
There's fantastic albums out there. I think Red Hot Chili Peppers is one of the top bands of all time. They're so good. But for me, Californication takes the cake because of what it meant for me, learning to play the drums, figuring out, like I didn't even play the kick drum. What made this really even more fun was that this album, because I was playing drums to it, and we didn't have the technology, it wasn't like Spotify, it wasn't an MP3 or something like that. If I played my drums too loud, the CD would skip. So I had to kind of, in a weird way, I think that helped me to learn dynamics and restraint behind the kit. Now you know when to go all out, but you know that you can practice at a lower level. So I think it helped me with some of those dynamics and things. Maybe it didn't, but it is a fond memory of just putting that on. And the first thing, when you turn on that CD, I think it might be one of the best first tracks of an album because it's you got Flea coming in on the bass for Around the World, and you got Chad Smith. Man, it is all around the world. We can make time. I love Red Hot Chili Peppers. Californication album had to be on my list. It is still one of the more fun ones to drum along to because Chad is just a fantastic drummer.
Dude, how amazing. You know, I knew how awesome Chad Smith was, and we talked about him in drummers and whatnot. But over the last, 5 years, he has just exploded on the social media scene. He's in, all these different things, and every single TikTok, short, video, whatever, that he's playing, I have to stop in my tracks and watch it. Because it's hilarious.
Did you see him playing with Kansas's band at a basketball game?
Yes.
Light My Fire, come on, or whatever it was.
I love his presence. I just love his presence. He's one of those guys I think I would just absolutely enjoy hanging out.
Yeah.
But Blood Magic, no.
Blood Sugar Sex Magic, something
Blood
like that.
Sugar.
Yeah, I think that's going to...
That one almost made my... it's probably right at 10. Yeah. Right at about 10, and we're only going to 8 today. I don't think we're crushing on any. But I almost had that one today. But when I think of the Chili Peppers and Californication, I think of Beavis and Butthead. Roller Coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not Californication.
But yeah, that wasn't that Run Roller Coaster on that song, though?
No.
On that CD?
No.
Was it on the next one?
That's way earlier.
Roller Coaster?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, watch this.
It wasn't way earlier.
Okay, Roller Coaster came out. Love Roller Coaster. Hold on.
Was it in between Blood, Magic, Sex, whatever, and California?
Well, Beavis and Butthead Do America, the movie came out in 96.
So just that song was on that soundtrack.
Yeah.
I thought they took it from an album. I didn't know
if they did, it was still before because this Californication is 99. So
99. So yeah, 3 years before.
A couple years before. Maybe not way before. But anyway, regardless. Yeah, but that is a great song too. Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers had to make my list. Californication, that CD, the red CD itself, making is fantastic. What about you, Drew? Any love for Red Hot Chili Peppers? Is that another band? You maybe know who they are, but
I'm sure I know song name titles that they've done. Couldn't tell you that's who it was.
Give it away now. Yeah.
Admittedly, this was all the kind of music I was not technically supposed to be listening to as a kid.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean I don't.
This is the difference between being raised in a Christian home.
Well, I'll help you out. Bedrock Anthem.
And
that's the Weird Al version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know Bedrock.
Do now.
Yabba do now. Yeah, I know the song. It's on that album.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our Jorge, or as we like to say, north of the border.
Hey,
George.
so quickly, PNX. Yeah, I get it. I love the whole punk scene. Actually, Andy loves punk even more than I. But he loves more of the emo ish side of things and the pop punk side of things. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, punk is definitely was them rebelling. But even then, like when circa 1999, I just thought the beats were good. I loved the song. Thought it was fun. It was catchy. And, do you have the time? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and Andy, I'm sorry, Drew. Jorge.
I mean, you can call me Andy. I just don't always listen for that.
Yeah, that's your real name.
Yeah. All right, well, let's move to George. Number one album for you, life album, Drew. I'm dying to know. What do we got?
The year was 2006.
Oh, I love this.
And
I love where we're at.
It was the final trip that I took with the people I went to youth group with. And because it's just at that point we all grew apart, that sort of thing, just natural. And we went to Nashville, Tennessee to the Passion 06 conference.
Come on now.
I knew I liked David Crowder Band over most contemporary Christian music, simply because his stuff actually sounded like it was not just a strummer and a guy and a bass, not just guitars and drums, and it was actually some more complex stuff. And it happened to be that that year was the year that A Collision, or 3 + 4 = 7, came out. And I bought this pretty much because of one song, which was very popular during that thing, which was You Are My Joy. And I kind of just left this in my CD player for 6 months and just kept listening to it over and over and over again as I'm driving to school, driving to work. I can't tell you why this particular album hit me that way, but yeah, this is just one that even though most like a good half of these songs are more like I would call filler tracks, just to kind of, because it's kind of set up in like a kind of a rock opera sort of situation. I say that knowing full well that I Saw the Light is in the middle of this, which plays in a more country bluegrass style.
I love that one.
But yeah, I like I said, I left this on in my truck for months, and I knew I had to put it on my list as my favorite, because like I said, this is almost my not altar, that's not the word, but my monument to the last time I did anything with youth group. And yeah, that's the main reason why this is made on the list. Of course, it's David Crowder Band, they do such a good job with not just being standard stuff. It's like there's a whole level of complexity in the music that I just love of his stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. So back to what we were talking about, Newsboys. That is not necessarily my style, but I do enjoy Crowder and David Crowder Band. I Saw the Light comes on a local radio station over here every Monday. It's how they start their day. And it's so when I'm bringing my daughter to school is that time that it comes on. So we hear it every Monday that we're going.
I mean, admittedly, it's a Hank Williams song.
Yeah, it's like a hoedown. They're doing they're doing.
How can't you like a guy that?
Oh yeah, the Goat Boy.
Yeah,
that was one of those things where I saw the guy and I go, "Oh, my dad would not like this simply because of the way this guy looks." Doesn't matter how he sounds; he wouldn't like the music because of the way the guy looks.
So
I will admit there's a little bit of rebellion in this.
So,
what a rebel!
I wasn't that much of a rebel, but
I mentioned I like CCM, and one of my favorite artists in the game, and I really want to see him again. I've seen 3 times. Is just Crowder. This is post David Crowder Band. He went on his own.
After he split from the band.
And the album, there's two of them. The first one is Neon Steeple. Is a fantastic album. I've seen that. I went and saw him in concert when they released that one. And then 2 years later, I think I was just looking it up. Was it's Prodigal?
Yeah,
not Prodigal Son.
American Prodigal, I think.
American Prodigal. Those two albums are fantastic, and I love that style of music. It's almost like bluegrass meets techno meets
the weird fusion of stuff.
Yeah, it's a weird fusion of just, and it just goes well, and then boom, Jesus is in the middle of it, and I love it.
My only issue with that era of stuff is that it doesn't quite fit what I like all the time. So I can't just, like I said, I couldn't just put one of those two albums in and just let it go for hours, like I still can do with this one. So
I probably wouldn't even know one song on that album. Well,
I don't even know how popular.
I lie. I'm sure at some of the concerts he still plays some of that, even though it's not his full band, because they sometimes do those things. So I've probably heard some, but it just didn't. I don't know what's from that far back. But I do love the Neon Steeple album. Gosh, I love that album. It's probably around here somewhere in the midst of this stuff. Man, good pick. Hey, so let's go from talking Jesus to just being a bad person. Let's do that. Let's do that.
From grace to sin. All right.
Listen. I don't know. Is it next week, Andy? The week after, we have Chris coming on. We're talking hip hop artists, and
I'm gonna struggle.
It's going to be a struggle for you. It is going to be a struggle for me for a different reason, but I will tell you right now, this is on the album, and wow! I just opened it up and I realized I drew this picture on my, and it's so great. Anyways, I drew this picture on one of my notebooks. But we're going to go to Cleveland, Ohio, circa 1996, on a little street called East 1999 and Eternal. I'm going with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Man, let me tell you, this is me as a senior. I'll paint the picture. I had a lowrider Mazda B2200 with a wing on the back, slammed to the ground with rims, with a different kind of grille and front body, and lots of speakers and boom. And in high school in 1995, 96, See You at the Crossroads, which is actually a single that came from the end of this time, and they brought that back out. It wasn't an original go, but it's Eazy-E is rest in peace in the middle of this thing. They have the whole map of where they grew up in Cleveland. But here's the story I wanted to share with it. Me and my best friends, I wish I could get them to come on. They're really camera shy and those kind of things. They probably would never make their way on here. But my favorite story of them all, it was a time in probably 96, 97, my senior year, maybe my freshman, or maybe it might have been my junior year. We all went down to Panama City. And while we were there were 6 of us. We all decided that we needed nicknames. And we couldn't come up with anything that was really going to click. And we decided to be called The Click, which is weird because whatever. And then we changed it to OGC because that sounded cooler. And so we were OGC forever. And then we needed like really gangster hip hop names. And we didn't come up with anything original. We just stole Bones names. So we had my friend, we'll just go, his name was Eric, and we gave him Eazy-E. and then we had my other friend Brent, which we always called him B, and so he became Busy Bone, right? And then we had our other guy who didn't do squat; he hated to do any work, so we called him Lazy Bone. And then we had the other guy who was really big, and he wasn't one of the main members, Flesh and Bone. And I got stuck with Wishbone. And so my nickname was Wishbone. I had it on the front of my car in that same truck. It was airbrushed on my license plate. It was over the back window. I mean, it was just straight 1995 hood. You know what I'm saying? Boom, boom, boom. And the reason that I had that nickname, it's kind of a sad story. We were in Panama City, and we were all hooking up with, trying to at least, with some other high school girls and folks that were out there, and everybody in my friend group ended up like finding a weekend girlfriend except for me. And they're like, yeah, you just wish you had a girlfriend. And my nickname was the only one that stuck really out of all these. So forever my nickname was Wishbone for like 6 or 7 years, and we stuck with it. But Bone was our thing, and everything that surrounds it. Other guys like them, like Graveyard Soldiers and uh, Crucial Conflict and all the weird Southern middle, like Ohio, Tennessee rap that came out. Just loved it. And when I think of who I am today, I cannot go without trying to find the best album or the best target to realize my 8 best friends as a kid. And the last thing I'll share, now that I'm saved, I got a chance to go back a year and a half ago, and I stayed at Andy's house to do the funeral for Lazy Bones' dad. And we were all in the gutter kids, bunch trying to stay out of trouble. We were all athletes, but still doing stupid stuff like drinking and drugs, and bring it full circle to be go over and pray over those guys and pray for the dad and the families and kind of just show a different side of us. Has just been amazing. If I can go back to one time in my life and what would symbolize it would probably be, this is just one of the many in this book. I didn't show y'all, but on the very cover of this is all Bone. I got every Bone CD ever made. So
you dropped half of them just now.
Well, yeah, that was, yeah. So there it is. Bone
Nice.
Thugs and Harmony, man.
Yeah. So I mean, Crossroads and then First of the Month. I think that's like the 2 that I know from that album. So
Yeah, Mo Murder. Mo Murder was the song,
yeah.
although that's not very Christian. And look, the picture that I was going to show you, well, not show you guys, but I drew it, and I mean, it's not even worth showing. But this picture here, I'll just do that. It's literally a Ouija board. It says Mr. Ouija, which is one of the songs. They talked a lot about drugs, bud smokers only. I mean, that's marijuana, and yeah, it was just a time in my life that it brings me right back. Makes me very thankful of who I am today, and that I still get to pray and love on those guys. So there you go, man. One of the things when I first got saved, Andy, was I had a bunch of questions. One of the reasons I found even Drew was because I found Geek Devotions, introduced him to you, introduced him to us, and that's kind of the one of my biggest questions was, do I have to throw all this away now that I'm saved? Do I have to get rid of all this? Like, is this some kind of possession and look, I had to dig around for hours trying to find this stuff today. It was so far hidden. Like, it's not something I go to. It's not even something I put on. But man, when you bring back a snapshot of time, yeah. And I get choked up thinking about it. Like, it's just, I knew this was going to be a good show, and I knew this is the one album that I knew that had to go on.
Good. That's good. I am going to struggle with hip hop artists though. So,
and they're almost definitely going to be on that for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if Weird Al had a Bone Thugs one though. He might have.
I don't think so.
I know he
I
Did
had.
they have a crossroads?
Wishbone, the name of the dog on the PBS show where he
Yes.
acted out like classic literary figures.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
That's literally what crossed my mind.
I think of every time we get a rotisserie chicken, my daughter wants to do the wishbone with.
Ah,
Oh, you know what's one of my favorite things? And Andy,
sorry,
you send
I
it to
did
me.
not grow up very thug.
You send it to me quite often in different version. Whenever somebody mashes up the crossroads or the whatever song and try and make different words to what they were really saying, and they're
Oh yeah.
you know those reels that you send me, I cry.
I'm gonna miss that money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Man, I need a good laugh. I need to go see that. That's good stuff.
yeah.
Anyways, all right, there's mine.
All right.
I'm gonna be upset if you don't pick what you should pick.
Okay,
Go ahead.
well, let me tell you where I'm going with my George. Paint another picture, okay? 1996. I'm sitting in my living room with my parents in Terrytown, Louisiana, on the West Bank, the best bank, which this doesn't apply to anybody. Kirk knows what I'm talking about. But anyway, so we're over there. And 1996, we're watching television in our front living room. I still see it vividly right now. And this band is playing on TV, and it is actually on MTV Unplugged.
Oh,
and-
Kevin is here. Kevin, did you hear my last pick? Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're watching this MTV Unplugged, and this band is up there, and I'm really into it, and I like it a lot. And I'm just like, man, this is cool stuff. So I talked to my dad. I'm like, Dad, who is this? I've never heard this. This is good stuff. And my dad says, wait, you like the Unplugged? Just wait a minute. So maybe the next day, maybe that weekend, we go to Kmart. There you go, 90s. We're going to Kmart to the CD section.
Back when that
And
was so relevant.
he decides to buy me the greatest hits album of that time. Again, granted, this is like 96 or so. He buys me the greatest hits album, and I remember opening up the insert to this thing and thinking, what am I looking at? This is the coolest thing ever. 96, I'm a 7-year-old. Okay? And I remember putting the CD on and being like, this is so much better than the Unplugged version. This is amazing. You're right, Dad. I was missing out. The album that I'm talking about is the greatest hits album of you wanted the best, you got the best. The greatest band in the world. Kiss. I'm going greatest Kiss, the greatest hits album. Again, they've had 16 more greatest hits albums probably since this one came out because they've been around forever. But this one was specifically called Greatest Kiss. I'm going to read off just the track listing. You ready? Detroit Rock City, Sure Know Something, Going Blind, Black Diamond, Love Gun, Shock Me, Hard Luck Woman, Deuce, Do You Love Me, She, I Was Made for Loving You, Shout It Out Loud, God of Thunder, Calling Dr. Love, Beth, Rock and Roll All Night, Strutter, Rock Bottom, God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and Come On and Love Me. This album, as a 7-year-old boy, opening that insert and seeing Gene Simmons spitting fire, blood, having the space ace, Paul Stanley, Peter Criss, the makeup, the pyro, the crazy stage show, I was immediately enamored. Add on to that the fact that my uncle was a huge Kiss fan too. Got me, kind of was very integral in inspiring me to be a drummer. I attached that to it. This band and this album specifically is what started me on my music trajectory. I talked about Led Zeppelin. That was when I was getting more to the musical side. This was just like music in general was fun. And it was something that I enjoyed and something that I loved. I was listening to the greatest hits of Kiss nonstop. It even spawned this thing where, and Kirk, I'm not necessarily a completionist, but I was this way with the cassette tapes. I had every cassette tape up until like Psycho Circus time, which was like 2001-ish or so, of Kiss. And I had a drawer in my room where I had them sorted and organized by year, and I could pull it out like it was fine wine. You know what I mean? I was just like, it's like, oh, which one do we want tonight? We want Rock and Roll Over. Oh, no, we want Dress to Kill. I had the greatest hits, and then I did that. Then I got all the toys. You know, I was going to the comic book stores, not necessarily for comic books, but for the action figures, where I could find the McFarlane Toys version of the Kiss toys, and I would buy that stuff. I have a Kiss shirt on now. I have a Kiss tattoo. It is no secret that has been the biggest inspiration for me for music, and it all comes back to MTV Unplugged, seeing them and just saying I like them, and my dad taking advantage of that moment and being like, oh, just wait until you see this right here. But I'm going to go for my George. It had to be. There was no doubt. It will always be my George. The greatest hits of Kiss. And I know greatest hits we've mentioned a couple greatest hits albums tonight. Some people may, and actually all three of us have mentioned one. So it's fair game here. It may feel like cheating, but that album literally had that CD as my first kind of exposure to who Kiss was. And then that's kind of snowballed everything else. That's my George. My number one, greatest Kiss.
So I will just kind of challenge this because I know Poetic Christian Gamer PCG mentioned it. Like, man, I didn't know that was available. I didn't know that we could pick greatest hits. Here's the thing: if in my mind, if I was picking the greatest hits because I just wanted to circumvent all the other records, that's one thing. But I literally listened to the greatest hits one. Like that was the album. It wasn't like I'm picking it just so I have the best songs. That's the one, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's what makes that, and I'm sure that's.
And I think that's the same for all of us tonight. Like,
Yeah, I think that's what it means for you as well. Great pick, dude. I knew you were going Kiss. I didn't even realize you had a Kiss shirt on until I said, I know you're going to pick this album, right? And I looked behind you, and there's Gene, and then I looked down, and I go, oh, he's wearing a shirt. He's letting us know all night long. I wore Jesus Loves You because I knew I was going to go way off of that. But, yeah, great pick. I didn't get to say this earlier. Hello, Sean. Thank you for being here. And man, love you to death. And so Kevin, you did hear not my Bone Thugs and Harmony pick, my other one. Did you hear? Anyways, it was kind of an ode to you in that time frame. Was I picked Green Day, and I remember you were the one that kind of put me on that with Paper Lanterns. I don't know if you were still here for that because I had mentioned it, but good pick, man. I knew you were gonna have this. I kind of knew it was gonna be your George, because it is. I mean, it is you. It's what I've always known about you. And so saw Weezer. I've never seen Weezer, but I love Weezer. If you don't know what we're talking about, you just showed up, you'd be like, what are they talking about? But hey, do you love Kiss, Drew?
First off, I did grow up very sheltered, as you probably could have gathered. So while I do know many Kiss songs, and I can actually say that they're Kiss songs.
There we go.
I was definitely not going to be allowed to listen to anything that my parents thought the acronym of the band name was Kids in Satan's Service.
Yeah.
So I did not.
Now,
I don't really.
I don't remember this.
Like, I do
didn't you debunk that?
Songs.
Yeah, that was a myth that was put together. In fact,
yeah, it's not real. But
three-quarters of the band
my parents that.
3/4 of the band are Jewish. I mean, and Gene Simmons is from Israel and is Christian
and is an actual doctor.
Yeah. So that was a thing. That was a scare thing. If you ever watched the movie Detroit Rock City, which again, pre-Christian, I was watching.
I have not, but I can tell you, anything that hit the satanic panic stuff, I now look at as with a grain of salt anyway.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. there's music out there that is far more risque than
Oh yeah, that's what I've gathered. But definitely, I would not have been able to if one of those either audio cassettes or CDs made it into the house. It would have caught on flame immediately. The way my parents thought of that thing, that stuff, just from the name.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a lot of things out there, but I had to put this is my origin story is Kiss.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
I don't hold judgment based on musical artists.
there you go. Yeah. Well, look, we are already at the 2:15. I know we've had a lot of story time tonight because of the topic for sure. But what's cool is we're not done with the show. We still have more to talk about. We got some honorable mentions, some Benjamins coming up. Kirk, are you ready for those?
Yeah, I am. I'm actually sorting out so I make sure I have the exact 4.
Well,
I will say I did not bring any of my Benjamins with me to the hotel. So,
well, there you go. All right.
Okay.
Well, Kirk, you want to roll that beautiful bean footage and get us ready
Roll
for
that beautiful. We should call it. Roll that village bean footage, right?
We should
do that. A
We're
little.
going to start that now.
Here we go. It's all about your Benjamins time. I am really struggling, Andy. I'm putting all of these away, and it's really ticking me off that I don't get to talk about all these tonight, especially now that we're at 2 hours and 15, and that means the show's going to go much longer. I'm putting ones away that I can't talk about. We need to do a part 2 to this show, so I think I'm going to do a shorter 2 just about some of the things in this CD case later. Yes. But we're talking about the Benjamins. Benjamins is our honorable mentions. It's called Benjamins because Benjamin Franklin was considered to be on the mountain, and he didn't make it. So we're going to talk about what didn't make our mountains today. Drew, you're up first. I'm second. Andy's third. Andy, you're fourth. I'm fifth. You're sixth. Drew, you're also seventh. I'm 8. You're 9, 10, 11, and you get the last pick, Drew, 12. Here's the thing. You cannot mention anything already mentioned, which I know you probably won't because we are on totally different sides of the spectrum, which is what makes this thing so beautiful. And Drew, you're up first. What's the first Benjamin that we have to mention tonight?
Final Fantasy VII Advent Children original soundtrack.
Whoa. Final Fantasy VII soundtrack?
No. Advent Children, the movie.
What?
Don't get me wrong. The actual soundtrack for 7 is good too, but it's all MIDI music, and this is fully orchestral and has the best version of One Winged Angel that's ever been made.
And One Winged Angel was my George!
And Advent One Winged Angel is the best version of it. So, yeah, FF7 AC original soundtrack.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. I like where we're going here.
Kirk, all right. So, really quickly, as I was digging through this, this isn't on my list.
Oh my gosh, you're still going to put them in there.
Let me make sure it doesn't say anything that I don't want you to see. Okay, cool. This is a mixtape for me sending it to my wife. And it's all just love songs that I wanted her to have pre-marriage. All right, so anyways, my first one coming off the mountain. I can do these in any order because I know I'm going to get all of them. Actually, no, if I'm not, I'm going to get all of them. So number 1, probably the highest rated one. I'm going to give away another pick. It's definitely on my mountain in a few weeks if it's not next week. I don't have the exact album though, but I have 4 of them. And the one that I want is not here, but I'm going with, can you see?
Eminem,
Marshall Mathers LP, the Stand song. I mean, look at this one. This one's got freaking Vicodin of all things. I mean, this dude he's ahead of his time. But as far as hip hop, Eminem was one of my favorites. Had a big old poster of Eminem, which I still have somewhere buried away around here. And I'm going to go with the Marshall Mathers LP.
Yeah.
Dude, just poetry as far as rap music goes.
Nice. All right, this one was struggling. This was my 5 for a reason because I wanted to fit it in there. I just couldn't because it's just so tough to do that. Rush, Moving Pictures, Tom Sawyer, Red Barchetta, YYZ, Limelight, Vital Signs. I mean, it's just a fantastic album. Rush, Moving Pictures, kind of in the same realm of that Led Zeppelin 4 for me, in the sense of my dad was just showing this to me. So that's
I
my
have the
first
2-disc CD set greatest hits.
Nice. So,
Chronicles.
but specifically that album for me was their best one, my favorite one. It's got the big hits there too. I give it a lot of love to my dad for picks. Led Zeppelin, Kissing, introduced me to Kiss. This one, let's throw one my mom's way. This was I grew up in a house that was very eclectic musically. I've shared it plenty of times. My dad was a metal guy. My mom was kind of a new wave pop rock type of person too. Had a lot of different things like that. But one of the bands that gets more hate than it really deserves, and this album is perfect, is a perfect, unskippable album. This band had a run of like 5 or 6 albums that are just unmatched with how great these 5 or 6, this discography is. I'm going to go U2's Joshua Tree. The Joshua Tree album is a beautiful, beautiful album. Where the Streets Have No Name, Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For. Just a great album. So, U2's Joshua Tree.
All right. We have talked I love this word, ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum.
About wrestling. And there it is.
Did you do it? You took a Benjamin from me. I was going to do
Listen. I not these two. I'm just showing off. But this one right here.
Which one is that?
Like the Attitude Era WWF. Look, still rolling the F right there.
Yeah.
Attitude Era, The Music. All three of these are good. This is a WCW one, by the way. But I'm going wrestling theme song. This brings you right back to
That's so funny.
The Monday Night Wars, baby. WWF.
I love that pick. Yeah. Yes, With or Without You was on Joshua Tree. I just see that Sean was asking that.
With or Without You. All right, so Drew, you got 2 picks back to back.
Toby Keith Unleashed.
Whoa, nice.
This is the one that's got the Angry American on it, courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue. But it's also got some other.
Tragically lost him recently. Yeah, Toby Keith.
But that's my favorite.
I love Toby. Great stuff.
Forcible Entry CD in the WCW. That's the Mayhem one right there. PCG. I don't know if your site can't pick it up, but that's this one. Mayhem. There it is. So,
nice.
Anyways, he should have been a cowboy.
Cowboy.
Dude, I love Toby.
That wasn't that album, but yes. This is the one where he's on there with Willie Nelson singing "Whiskey for My Men, Beer for My Horses."
Yeah, Bryce. Toby Keith died like last year, or maybe the year before. And it's been a little while, huh?
It's been
in the last 2 years.
It's been at least a year. He was super sick.
February of 2024.
He was in real bad shape when he passed.
So a year and a month. Yeah, he was in real bad shape. He was
February.
Colon cancer, I think.
Pancreatic cancer.
Mm-hmm.
It was a cancer.
Yeah. So Toby Keith, man, good pick. So you get another one.
Going back to the video game side of things, Sonic 30th Anniversary Symphony.
I love it.
So if you would have been on the music soundtracks.
I do like my video game soundtracks, but
if you've been on music soundtracks, you'd already dished out 2 of them, and I think this one actually made that list, Andy, if I remember correctly. So
I don't know.
Yeah, this is the classic. It's got you got your all your stuff from all your even from some. You even got music from some of the more obscure Game Gear games that no one would remember if you played it. You got some Crush 40 in there. You got some other good classic Sonic stuff. I mean, the Sonic music is not usually bad. So yeah, it's a good classic album.
So good pick. real quickly.
Hanging
This little thing here, if I flip through, a lot of this, and you guys, I don't know how much, there might be some things that are inappropriate, so I'm not going to stay there too long. But most of this is all New Orleans rap. When I was a kid, or not when I was a kid, but when I was in high school, every single Tuesday, a new CD came out. Just like for movies every Friday. But every Tuesday, new CDs came out. And at one time, No Limit and Cash Money and a few of the other New Orleans rap had one out every week. And I was at Camelot Music, and I didn't care what it was. I was buying it, and because of the New Orleans bounce, but I was buying it because almost all of them had at least one song from my guy Mystical. And this is his first CD, Mystical. This is just shows another high school jump. Bone Thugs, this. Gosh, because I wanted to talk about New Orleans rap, I put a lot of really other good stuff down. And because I had every single CD possible.
What's the album?
This one is Mystical's first album. It is this one. Hold on. It looks like this, Andy.
Mind of Mystical? Yeah, Mind of Mystical. Got it. All right, cool.
It's with a K.
Yeah.
So
no,
this thing's probably worth some money back. It's even got the inserts, bro. What the heck? So
it's complete in box.
CIB. So there you go. Just because of my love of New Orleans rap, Master P, all those guys, Cash Money, Lil Wayne, all of that. Make it say, I got that in here. I got it. But my favorite was Mystical. I'm giving a lot of my picks away for next week. But go ahead.
Yeah. All right, so I gotta put this band on there because they were so impactful for me. When I think of albums, I don't even think this is musically not my favorite of their albums, but I think that it meant so much. I listened to it a ton. I love this album. There's one that I believe is better, but that's just from being a music snob or whatever. But I have to put this on there. I'm going Metallica's Black Album. I got to put Black Album on there. It's just called Metallica. It's not actually called Black Album, but I got to put Metallica's Black Album on there. I've been in a Metallica kick lately. I think ever since last week when we were talking, we brought Metallica up a lot. So, yeah, they're going to be on my list for sure. And then my final one that I'm going to pick, I thought I might go a little off the deep end here. And this is going to really kind of round out the eclectic style of music for me. And what's funny about this one is I can't find the actual CD, but I know that I had it. I can't find what exact one it is, but I'll tell you what it basically was. VH1 was selling 2-disc compilation sets. Like, you see the infomercials at 3 a.m., 'cause I'm your lady. You see that one a lot.
Yeah.
But I will say there was one that came out, and for whatever reason, I begged my mom to get this CD for me, and she ordered it. And it's not even that I necessarily love the
Something
music.
like that.
You kind of like that, yeah. But the one that I'm specifically speaking of was VH1 had a 2-disc disco CD compilation. And what's funny, and I was like 10 when I was begging for this. Or so, no, maybe even earlier than that, like 8. I don't know. Either way, I was young. And, we can poke fun at disco for sure. I mean, it's absolute cheese like crazy, a lot of the stuff. But there was some Earth, Wind, and Fire stuff on that disc set. There were some things like Casey and the Sunshine Band like that musically. Now that I've like matured and like can have an appreciation for just the solid musicianship of a lot of that stuff, I realized that it influenced me musically and even in my style of play more than I would think it does. I would never say I'm a disco drummer, but it definitely inspired things. In fact, I listened to an interview with Dave Grohl, who says that he stole literally one of the more iconic, not stole, but he was inspired by the Gap Band for the intro to "Smells Like Teen Spirit." Like that's a disco, like that's a disco beat, right? So it really kind of is trickled through music a lot. And anyway, that album, I remember loving it. I remember listening to it like crazy. But the VH1 2-disc disco album.
That is amazing. I can't love a pick more than that one. That should win it for you. So, there was a time, and it's still a time. I love it. Gosh, and I've mentioned this band, both of these bands. I got two different bands in my hand because to me, they're in the same period. And I'm not picking either one of these albums in my hand. There is a period of time that I really loved the angst and the just the hardcore, just getting it. And both of these bands just really don't like people. They don't like government. But I'm going with this. And
Rage.
I don't have it though. This is Guerrilla Warfare. This is Disturbed. I'm going with Bulls on Parade, Evil Empire's Rage Against Machine, the Evil Empire CD. And I don't have it, and it irritates me because that album to me is one of the best albums of all time, cover to cover. But I remember a time of just, this was my 6-disc CD change. And it was these two and a few others like, Limp Bizkit and Korn, and just like when I get out of the car, I just want to fight everybody. It's like, get out of my face, but Bulls on Parade, and all that stuff. And I mention Tom Morello all the time. Did you see that picture I sent you?
Yeah.
Pop Culture Pastor. They were like mentioning it, and then they're like, some guy from Rage. I'm like, what? You don't choose some guy from Rage. Get out of here. So anyways, Rage Against the Machine. Another band like Green Day, right? I don't align with them in anything they think about or go with, but man, I love their music.
Yeah.
So go ahead. That's
all right, Drew, you got the last
list.
pick. Last one. Mr.
I'm debating between three different ones for my last one because they're kind of all that close. But I think I've got to I got to go with at least the what I represent as a co-host of the Cellcast podcast, and I'm going to go with the soundtrack to a Goofy movie.
Oh, Andy loves that.
It's the second best Disney soundtrack by far.
Yeah. I can pretty much sing any song on that sound on the the songs.
Is number one
Maybe
Tarzan?
Not score as much, but
yeah, number one is Tarzan. That is my belief. Yeah. But this is a very close second. Eye to Eye. I mean, if we listen to each other. There's supposed to be a documentary that's coming out about the Goofy movie.
Did I see where a part 2 is coming out?
Well, they have a 2. They have a part 2.
Yeah,
or a part 3, another one, a next one.
Well, there's supposed to be a documentary that's coming out about Goofy. So that's what I saw, a Goofy movie documentary, or not just a goof or something it's called, or I don't know,
something like that.
Yeah, this is a great pick. I didn't even think soundtracks, but if I would have gone soundtrack, I think this made my movie soundtracks Rushmore because this is for sure one of them. Great pick. Way to end the mountains. I love this.
The Goofy movie soundtrack was, I think, my third ever CD. So
my first ever CD was a soundtrack, and it was on my list tonight. Didn't make it. It was one of the ones I put away.
Mm-hmm. I mean, but not even just so. Eye to Eye is a great one, but After Today is a fantastic.
Yeah,
song.
After Today is good.
After Today, I'm done.
Yeah, and I do love On the Open Road
on my bus.
Yeah,
yeah.
But my first CD ever was The Crow
song.
What was that?
The Crow.
Oh, Crow. What were you saying, Drew?
I was saying I really like On the Open Road.
Yeah, On the Open Road. Yeah, that's a great one. Stand Out. Stand out.
Above the crowd, even if I gotta shout out loud.
It's so
well.
Hey,
Hey guys,
I know what I'm going to listen to when I leave. So
Hey,
you win,
I've got a
Drew.
lot of music.
You win.
I want a lot of music to listen to. Drew, thank you for being here. I love hearing you. Mainly, I love hearing you on something that isn't in your niche of creation when it comes to cartoons and movies. We're talking music, and we're
I know.
talking
Yeah.
and we're talking something that if I go to your channel, I don't normally hear a lot about. So it's awesome to get to know you a little bit more, even though we've kind of been together in the Culture Box for the last year and a half, 2 years now. So really appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. Everybody in the chat, Cellcast is a fantastic show. Drew, tell them where they can find you, what you have coming up next, what's maybe Jacob got coming up next, and kind of support that. You guys are on Friday night, so
Yeah.
this week you're not on. So tell them what's coming up.
We're not on this Friday. I was already going to be out of town before this all mess. But the next episode we currently have planned is actually a patron pick. It's Batman and Superman: Dawn of the Super Sons, I believe is the name of the film. But it's I know nothing about the film. I'll find out when I get to it, other than I know Batman and Superman, and I'm assuming a bunch of Robins are involved. Maybe a Superboy or two. I don't know. But yeah, I know that's the next thing. Like I said, we're going through Batman the Animated Series during our TAS segment, which is in our animated series segment. Like I said, I am doing a side project called the Cellcast Presents Untangling Kingdom Hearts, where I am playing through the game on Tuesday nights and then recording a side podcast along with that, trying to untangle that very convoluted plot line that's probably more convoluted than it needs to be, but what do you expect from Square Enix? And I know that I think he's doing Monday nights. I wasn't this week, but I think that's his plan. Jacob is doing some art streams on his Twitch channel, Like an Artist 82. That's Lycan as in the werewolf, not like in artist. Even though I keep wanting to sing that one Madonna song, like
a surgeon.
Yeah, it's where I keep wanting to go, but no, it's because of the fact that when his Tourette's makes him bark. But yeah, that's what we've got going on.
Nice.
So that is awesome. I love that. Guys, go and check out the Cellcast. Hey, Drew, if you can, I don't know if you're there or somebody else out there, can somebody put Drew's channel in the chat? That would be amazing while we talk. And if you guys want to put your channels in the chat, by all means, do it. There's 11 of you still hanging around. Make sure you hit the like. That would be awesome. So what we have coming up, Andy, let's show a real quick clip of what's next. And because we're moving in to April, basically in the show. And this is what is up next right here. So hip hop artists, 80s ladies, Mario music, and Guitar Hero songs. And we already have all the movies booked. We already have all of most of the nostalgia booked. And we already have a few sports booked and even one food booked. So we're booking we have some booked shows out till December. Guys, if you want to be on the show, it's really easy. Hit us up in the Instagram or the Discord. We'd really love to get that Discord moving a little bit in the right direction. If anybody wants to help and support us by kind of showing us the ropes in Discord, that'd be fantastic. Because some of the things that we do in Discord are just really sharing our channel. But I do know that there's a different niche in there. And even with Cellcast, I know you guys, with Culture Box, we do Discord and a few other things. But man, I'm watching some people, and it is a massive booming community. And if you guys want to do that, that would be perfect. That would be helpful. We love everybody out there. We thank you guys for being here. Go catch you a few of the past episodes this week. That would be a big deal to us. We're on the way, on that road to 4K. So, Andy, anything you want to tell anybody before we go?
Well, I love you all. I love all of you. That's a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. Anyway, thanks for hopping on, Drew. Everything that we said. Appreciate everybody who's been in the chat.
And John, if you're watching, we're praying for your mom.
Yeah, man.
And I asked him to watch a catch up, and can't wait to have you on again.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's time. We're approaching 3 hours. I think it's time that we say goodnight. You know, every time we have Drew on, we go long. We like to talk.
You know, the last time Drew was on
That's
was
a problem.
when. Wait, can I tell you something? The last time Drew was on is when we hit the big spike.
Yeah.
So the food episode of Cartoon Foods.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
It spiked us, and it went crazy for the last 3 months.
There you
So
go.
maybe we spike again.
Come on, Drew.
Well, some of that
All
could
right,
filter back my way to the Cellcast. I would not feel horrible about it.
Yeah, we would love that. I would love for you guys to go and watch the
Send them-
Cellcast.
I put their links in there. Go check it out, man.
Yeah, they're doing some great stuff over there. Go check them out. So tell everybody good night.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining. We love you all in the Summit Squad, but we're going to say goodnight like we always do. This is the Rushmore Show, where it's all about that's you right there. Your
Top four.
four.
And nothing more.
Peace out.